Chapter 3090. Linny nodded. It seemed like the miss really didn't know anything. She wouldn't have been tricked by Pinleon otherwise. Not long after, the sound of a car could be heard outside the villa. Pengzhan was probably here. As expected, the doorbell rang, and Linny opened the door to see a sweaty Pengzhan rushing in. Yao Yao, what's going on? Let's talk inside. Linny gestured for Pengzhan to enter the living room. Yeah. Pengzhan nodded and walked quickly into the living room. Can you tell me now? Actually, Uncle Chu, it all started this afternoon. Mengyao had planned to be honest with Pengzhan anyways, so Lin Yi didn't hide anything. He told Pengzhan everything from the Dongfang house's Dongfang Cha kidnapping Mengyao and Yushu, to the Grand Elder and black-clothed Elder of the Dark Palace coming to their aid, to Lin Yi's arrival. Pengzhan listened to Lin Yi say that Mengyao and Yushu met people from the Dark Palace in the afternoon, and even saved them. His face changed a little, but he still asked, and then? Now, this is the most important thing. Yao Yao is the inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline. Lin Yi said. The Grand Elder of the Dark Palace wants to take her away, bring her back to the Dark Palace to train. What? The Grand Elder wants to take Yao Yao to the Dark Palace?
How can that be?
Pengzhan stood up, agitated, his emotions incomparable. Why does she want to take Yao Yao away again?
Why?
Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Uncle Chu, don't be angry. These ancient sects don't have reason to reason with them. It was the same reason when Xiao Xiao was forced to stay in the Ice Palace. Yeah. Pengzhan realized his mistake as well. Sighing slightly, he sat back on the sofa, but his expression was unusually ugly. The Palace of Darkness. It's the Palace of Darkness again. If our benefactor was still here, they wouldn't dare to do this. Benefactor? What do you mean? Lin Yi was slightly stunned. It's nothing. I lost my composure, Pengzhan said, surprised. He didn't dare talk about what happened back then, not even to Mengyao and Faubert. But today, when he heard that the Dark Palace was going to take Mengyao away, he lost his composure and spoke his mind. Nothing?
Daddy.
Are you hiding something from us? You knew about the Dark Palace? Mengyao heard what Pengzhan said as well. He immediately asked suspiciously. At this moment, Pengzhan was struggling internally. Should he tell Mengyao that his wife, Yao Yao's mother, was in the Palace of Darkness? However, Pengzhan made up his mind after struggling for a long time. He didn't want to hide it anymore. He wanted to tell the truth. After all, even if Mengyao was in the Palace of Darkness, she still needed to know about these things. So, Pengzhan took a deep breath. Yao Yao, since you asked, I'll tell you everything. Didn't you always ask me where your mother went, what she did? Today, I'll tell you everything. My mother? Mengyao's breathing quickened, but then her heart skipped a beat. My mother? Could it be related to the Palace of Darkness? What's going on? That's right, Yao Yao, your guess is correct. Your mother is the Palace Master of the Palace of Darkness. Pengzhan nodded and said word by word.
Ah.
Mengyao guessed that her mother leaving back then had something to do with the Palace of Darkness, but she never would have thought that her mother was the Palace Master of the Palace of Darkness.
How?
How was that possible? Wasn't the Palace of Darkness Lin Yi's enemy? Why would her mother send someone to go against Lin Yi? If that was the case, could it be that the Grand Elder was sent by her mother? Mengyao couldn't be blamed for thinking like that. After all, as far as she knew, the Palace Master was the highest authority in a sect. Wasn't that the same for the Ice Palace she knew? Bingtang was the strongest existence in the Ice Palace, and her words carried weight. Even though there were supreme elders in the Snow Valley, they still respected Xue Li's opinion. Xue Li was also involved in the management of the Snow Valley. So, Mengyao felt that since her mother was the Palace Master of Darkness, then all of this was planned by her mother? But did her mother not like her anymore? Why would she do something to her own daughter? At that thought, Mengyao felt sad. Mom, doesn't want us anymore? Yao Yao, it seems like you're thinking too much. Pengzhan smiled bitterly, shaking his head. It's not that your mother doesn't want us anymore, but she was forced to leave. Besides, Your mother may be the palace master of darkness, but she doesn't have any actual power. The Grand Elder is in charge of the entire palace of darkness. Forced to leave. The Grand Elder is in charge? Meng Yao paused, thinking of something. Could it be that Mom is an inheritor too? She was taken by the Grand Elder to the Palace of Darkness? That's right. Pengzhan nodded. It's a long story. I'll tell you all in detail. Back then, was the young palace master of Darkness Palace, but her Dark Phoenix bloodline had gone through many generations, and it wasn't very pure anymore. It was very difficult for someone with that bloodline to accept an inheritance and become an inheritor. According to the calculations of the Five Element School, there were still at least 20 years before the Heavenly Stage Island project would start. Therefore, the Dark Palace decided to let Yuan marry the young master of the Heavenly Elixir School, Tianji Xing, who was also the father of Tianji Xing. The Sky Elixir School had a secret art. Of course, it was the Five Elements School's secret art. They could use certain methods to gather all the Dark Phoenix bloodline in Yuan-Er's body into the fetus, and that way, the fetus would have the complete Dark Phoenix bloodline in the mother's womb. This way, although the Dark Phoenix bloodline in Yi Wan'er's body was not pure, her child would have an extremely pure Dark Phoenix bloodline. Although it would not be as pure as the ancestors, at least in terms of receiving the inheritance, there would be no problem at all. The Palace of Darkness was the same as the Yellow Earth High Sect, having inheritors through bloodline. It wasn't like the other inheritors of the fire, water, mist, ice, or wood elements, as long as they had a pure body of the same element. Chapter 30-91. Of course, pure metal and earth elements might be able to accept the inheritance, but the Dark Palace and the Yellow Soil sect couldn't do it. These two sects could only produce a single bloodline inheritor. But the young Yuaner, I didn't want to marry the young master of the Sky Elixir sect, Tianji Xing, and so, just like in novels and TV shows, she ran away. On the way, the young Yuaner met the handsome Chu Pengzhan, and the two fell in love. They even tasted the forbidden fruit, and it was at this time that Yuaner got pregnant with Chu Mengyao. But the truth couldn't be contained, and the Grand Elder of the Dark Palace activated the Dark Phoenix Stone. The Yuan-Er in front of him had already lost her virginity, and her blood had become even more impure. Logically speaking, the Dark Phoenix Stone shouldn't be able to find her, but the Grand Elder had sacrificed his strength and gathered many masters to forcefully activate the Dark Phoenix Stone to find Yuan-Er and Pengzhan, who had already escaped abroad. Originally, Yi Wan'er and Chu Pengzhan were certain that they would die this time, but they didn't think that they would meet a benefactor who would help them. This was an extremely powerful person, Mr. Yang. Mr. Yang used his terrifying strength to make the Grand Elder compromise and let Yi Wan'er and Chu Pengzhan go. He didn't even dare let out a fart, and left with his tail between his legs. He didn't forget to please Mr. Yang when he left. But Mr. Yang suddenly disappeared and never appeared again. The Grand Elder, because of Mr. Yang's disappearance, once again set his sights on Yuan-Er and forcefully brought her back to the Dark Palace, forcing her to continue trying to accept the inheritance. However, because Mr. Yang's power was too great, it left a psychological shadow in the Supreme Elder. When he took Yuan-Er away, Yuan-Er didn't even have a chance to escape. When he took Yuan-Er away, he didn't dare to do anything to Chu Pengzhan and Chu Mengyao. But no matter how powerful a person was, after disappearing for more than 10 years, the shadow in the Grand Elder's heart slowly dissipated. As far as he was concerned, that person was most likely dead, and so he wanted to kill Chu Pengzhan and Chu Mengyao again. It had been a secret Pengzhan kept to himself all these years. He didn't tell Mengyao because the ancient sects were far away from the people of the common world. Far, far away, an existence that could only be looked up to. Even if Lin Yi was very powerful and could go against the aristocratic families and the hidden aristocratic families, he could not go against the ancient sections. It was also because Lin Yi had started stepping into the ancient sects recently, making friends with the disciples of the ancient sects, that Pengzhan decided to tell Mengyao and Lin Yi about the past. Otherwise, Pengzhan didn't have the guts to say it before, afraid that Meng Yao or Lin Yi would do something irrational. After all, the Mr. Yang from back then had disappeared. Pengzhan's support was gone, and he was afraid as well. This meant that the Grand Elder of the Dark Palace had captured his mother. You want to catch me again? Meng Yao couldn't help but be shocked and angry after hearing Pengzhan's story. This Grand Elder is too evil, taking my mother away and leaving you without a wife. You don't have a wife, and I don't have a mother. What a typical bully. Why didn't Mr. Yang come back to punish her? Yeah, I didn't think that the Dark Palace would come after you. Pengzhan smiled bitterly. If Mr. Yang was still here, she wouldn't dare take your mother away. She wouldn't even know how to get on his good side. So it looks like Mom must have failed the inheritance, and that's why she's coming after me? Meng Yao nodded, not dumb. She understood the Dark Palace's intentions right away. That should be the case, but what I'm curious about is that there's no Dark Phoenix blood in your veins at all. There's only a very, very small part of it, almost negligible. It's not like the Elder didn't have her eyes on you back then, but she gave up after a thorough examination.
How come you're here now?
Pengzhan said, a little confused.
Oh.
Is that so? Meng Yao was puzzled as well. If that was the case, then why would the Grand Elder come all the way here? Oh, Shield Bro. Do you think Yao Yao's bloodline mutated after eating a Dark Phoenix? Yushu remembered an important thing. Lin Yi had once bought a black pheasant, but the man selling the pheasant insisted that it was a black phoenix. Could it be the Dark Phoenix?
Me?
When did I eat a Dark Phoenix? Meng Yao blinked, but her face changed. You guys are talking about that dream? And I ate a Dark Phoenix in the real world. That should be it. Lin Yi nodded. Now that I think about it, you said that you were in a dream, but it wasn't you but someone else. A bunch of people called you Palace Master, and they fed you a Dark Phoenix. I'm guessing that it's some sort of memory inheritance. Memory inheritance? Meng Yao didn't understand what Lin Yi was getting at. The place where you ate the Dark Phoenix is probably very close to the Dark Knight Palace. According to my guess, the first Dark Phoenix bloodline in the Dark Knight Palace was born from eating the Dark Phoenix, and that person might be your ancestor, Yao Yao. Lin Yi said, we have a Dark Phoenix in our hands, and you are related to your ancestor by blood. It's probably some kind of mysterious force that made you eat that Dark Phoenix. The memory of your ancestor eating the Dark Phoenix was also passed down to your brain. Holy shit, Shield Bro, you're almost as good as Shu now, amazing. Yushu said, impressed. Then it's very possible. Meng Yao nodded. This also explains why the Grand Elder didn't care about me back then, but came to me now. That must be it. Lin Yi nodded. And now, it means that your bloodline is the same as your ancestor's bloodline, and it's very easy for this bloodline to receive the inheritance. Then what I don't understand is, if Mom is the inheritor, why hasn't she come to see me all these years?
She didn't even call me.
From the Grand Elder's attitude towards me, she didn't want to fall out with me, so Mom must have some status in the Palace of Darkness. Xiao Xiao is in the Ice Palace, and she can still talk to us. Meng Yao asked, confused. Chapter 3092. Your mother's personality is that of a meek and cowardly type. Why would she fight with a Grand Elder for anything? Naturally, she would do whatever the Grand Elder said. Back then, the Grand Supreme Elder also used my safety and yours to threaten your mother, so your mother left with the Grand Supreme Elder. But Mom can totally say that if you threaten me again, I won't go, even if you kill me. Meng Yao's personality was completely different from Yu Weiner's. The miss wasn't that easy to bully. If your mom was like you, then even if you don't see her, you'd call her often. Pengzhan smiled bitterly. Right, Mom's in the Palace of Darkness right now. She must have failed the inheritance. That's why the Grand Elder came to find me. Since Mom's in the Palace of Darkness, then I can ask her to come back and stay with Dad, and I'll go to the Palace of Darkness. That way Dad won't be lonely. Meng Yao didn't care if her mother was an elder or not, or if the Grand Elder still wanted her to stay in the Palace of Darkness. Since she thought of this, then she would do it. In fact, the Grand Elder didn't use Meng Yao's mother as a threat, because she didn't want to let Weiner leave. Wayner was a sky-class early phase, after all, and to the weaker Palace of Darkness, it would be a great help. Although Wan had gotten into a fight with him for wanting to kill Pingzhan and Meng Yao, as long as Meng Yao wasn't dead and went to the Palace of Darkness, Lin Yi believed that Wan would be more than happy to continue working for the Palace of Darkness. As for Lin Yi, the Grand Elder didn't dare kill him. She realized that Meng Yao's personality was completely different from Wayner's. If she didn't like it, she'd threaten her and not go to the Palace of Darkness. This made the Grand Elder very helpless. Plus, the Grand Elder valued Meng Yao far more than Yuan. Whether or not Wan could accept the inheritance was completely based on luck, but Meng Yao's Dark Phoenix bloodline was so pure that it made people speechless. As long as Meng Yao went to the Palace of Darkness, she'd be able to accept the inheritance without a doubt. So the Grand Elder thought it through. In order to make Meng Yao happy, she'd go back to the Palace of Darkness and let Meng Yao be the Vice Palace Master. Of course, if Meng Yao really could accept the inheritance, then she'd even become the Grand Elder. The Great Elder was such a person. For the sake of the sect, he would do anything. He no longer had any face. As for Elderly, he'd give him some power as well, as long as Meng Yao was happy to accept the inheritance. He'd be fine with anything, even handing over all of Elder Black's power. But the prerequisite was that Meng Yao had to accept the inheritance willingly. Pingzhan was a little excited after hearing Meng Yao's words. Could Yuan come back? All these years, Pingzhan had been hoping that Yuan would return to his side one day, even in his dreams. And so, at this moment, Pingzhan couldn't suppress his emotions anymore. He stood up from the sofa. Yao Yao, your mom can come back?
Yes.
I think the Grand Elder will agree if I use this as a threat. Meng Yao wasn't too sure herself. Meng Yao wasn't sure, but at least it could be used as a threat. Whether or not the Grand Elder would let her go depended on her mood and attitude. But, Yao Yao, you're sacrificing yourself in exchange for your mother's return. I'd rather you didn't go. Pingzhan calmed down after the excitement. He knew that this was an exchange for Meng Yao's inheritance. Even if Mom doesn't come back, I'd still go. Meng Yao smiled. Dad, since I'm leaving, why don't I fight for more benefits? If the Grand Elder heard this, she'd probably spit out blood. She tried so hard not to mention Yuaner because she was afraid that Meng Yao would want to switch people. Yuaner was a sky-class early phase, a part of the Palace of Darkness power. She'd just leave like that. Uncle Chu, Yao Yao's right. Even if Aunt Yi doesn't come back, Yao Yao has to go. So, instead of that, why not ask for more benefits? Lin Yi nodded. All right, if that's the case, then Daddy thanks you. Pingzhan was a little emotional. Yao Yao, I didn't think that in the end, you'd be the one to leave, and your mom's back. When can we really reunite as a family? That'll depend on Shield Bro. When Shield Bro becomes a sky-class late-phase peak, he'll sweep through the entire ancient world. Then, we'll be the #1 house in the world. Yushi said. At that time, the Grand Elder will probably come to lick Shield Bro's shoes. Shu, that's not what you're saying. Meng Yao glared at Yushu. Don't say things like that. If the Grand Elder hears it, she'll want to kill Lin Yi again. Oh, Shu knows. Isn't it just talking about it at home? Yushu nodded casually. Shu, no one will care about you after I'm gone. You have to listen to Lin Yi, understand? Don't always cause trouble for Lin Yi. Meng Yao glanced at Shu. Although she was talking to her, there was a strong sense of reluctance in her eyes. After all, she and Shu had lived together for so many years, and now they were going to be separated. And don't worry, Yao Yao sis. I'm a good girl. Yushu nodded solemnly, putting away the joking expression on her face. Meng Yao, however, couldn't help but smile at the last part. Looking at Meng Yao, Lin Yi's heart was filled with sadness. Originally, Lin Yi thought that the Miss and Shu would be the ones who would be with him forever. Even when he knew that Shu would be leaving, Lin Yi still felt that the Miss wouldn't be able to leave no matter what. He would live with her forever. Although they didn't hint or promise anything to each other, both of them knew that although they were friends, most of the time, their relationship had already exceeded that of ordinary friends. What did this mean? Every time Lin Yi came back from a trip, the miss would be like a wife waiting for her husband to come back. Her greeting and gaze were calm, but it had become a habit. Did he like the miss? He should like her. Otherwise, Lin Yi wouldn't be living with her all the time. Chapter 3093. It was just that Lin Yi didn't realize it himself. But did the miss like him? Lin Yi wasn't sure. Sometimes he was sure, but other times he wasn't sure. It was a very strange feeling, but since the miss didn't say it, Lin Yi wouldn't break this warm relationship between them. Perhaps one day in the future, the two would break through friendship and become lovers, but they wouldn't be too surprised because they already had this feeling between them.
It was just that now wasn't the time.
Lin Yi, on the other hand, enjoyed the warmth and habit of being with the Mississippi. There wasn't the passion of love, just the simple care and concern for each other. But the appearance of the Grand Elder of the Dark Palace broke the peace between Lin Yi and the Mississippi. The miss would leave, and the dream would wake up. "It's late, Dad. You should go back. We should rest as well. Perhaps the Grand Elder will come tomorrow morning." The black-clothed elder beside her knows this place,
Meng Yao said to Pengzhan.
Pengzhan had spent quite a bit of time talking about the past, and it was already nighttime. "Okay, Yao Yao, I'll be going then. I won't be participating in tomorrow's matter. Please." Pengzhan knew that it wasn't a good time for him to show his face tomorrow. He was afraid that the Grand Elder would be embarrassed if he saw him. After all, Mr. Yang used to support him. "Don't worry, Uncle Chu. I'll help Yao Yao and make Auntie come back." Lin Yi nodded. Pengzhan didn't say anything else. He stood up and left the villa with Faubert. They got in the car and disappeared into the night. In the villa, Meng Yao stood up and yawned. "All right, Shu, come sleep with me upstairs. It's not like I won't come back if I leave." "Oh, okay." Yushu followed Meng Yao upstairs obediently. She knew that this might be the last day she'd be sleeping with Meng Yao. Lin Yi sighed. Although he also wanted to follow, he still said, "Little Han, you also go rest. I will also sleep." "Okay." Shirhan didn't expect something like this to happen in Lin Yi's house. She nodded and went upstairs. After returning to his room, Lin Yi sat cross-legged on his bed and began cultivating the third stage of the art of dragon mastery. Lin Yi knew that only by working harder could he make his voice heard in the ancient realm. Otherwise, Xiao Xiao and Yao Yao would be manipulated by others, even Xiao Shu and Little Jiu in the future. Although Lin Yi's relationship with Blazing Mountain and Yellow Earth High Faction was not bad, but if they wanted to do something, Lin Yi couldn't stop them. However, if he was strong enough, he could protect them. Upstairs, Meng Yao and Yushu's room. Although the lights had been turned off, neither of the sisters was asleep. "Shu, are you asleep?" Meng Yao asked. "No." "Yao Yao sis, what about you?" Yushu asked. "Of course not. How else would I be talking to you?" Meng Yao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Oh, Yao Yao sis, you are leaving tomorrow. I can't sleep," Yushu said. "Yeah, me too." Meng Yao smiled, but her smile was a little sad. "Then let's talk."
"Okay."
Yushu nodded. "It's so miraculous. I didn't think that I'd be an inheritor." Meng Yao sighed. "I never would have thought of this before. It seems like our lives have changed a lot ever since Lin Yi came to the villa." "Yeah. Then Yao Yao sis, do you regret it?" Yushu asked. "Regret? Of course not. It's good this way. It's much more interesting than before. Besides, if it wasn't for Lin Yi, we would have been dead already." "One Zhao Qibing is enough to kill us," Meng Yao said. "I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, do you regret it? You didn't get to enjoy the moonlight first?" Yushu asked. "Enjoy the moonlight first?" Meng Yao paused, then blushed. Luckily, it was dark, so Yushu couldn't see it. "Don't talk nonsense. Lin Yi and I are pure friends."
"Oh?"
"I didn't say that, Yao Yao sis. Your thoughts are not pure. Thinking of Shield Bro all of a sudden. It seems like there's something wrong." Yushu giggled. "Then what did you say?" Meng Yao humphed and asked. "I said that Yao Yao sis didn't push Shield Bro down. Do you regret it?" Yushu said. "What's the difference?" Meng Yao raged. "Are you trying to trick me? See if I don't tear your mouth apart." However, although Meng Yao said that, she didn't really tear Shu's mouth apart, because she didn't want to play with Yushu anymore. She was leaving tomorrow, and she didn't have the mood. Hee. Actually, Yao Yao's sis is at the same level as Shield Bro's other wives now. They are all vice palace masters, elders, and inheritors. Yao Yao's sis is also one. Yao Yao's sis will be very powerful in the future. Yushu said, now we're just waiting for Shu to work hard and become an inheritor. Then we can work together again. Haha, okay. Work hard then. Meng Yao thought that Yushu was joking, so she smiled. Let's reminisce about this year. Okay, Yushu said. It was March 12th this year, right? Shield Bro moved into the villa for the first time. We still hated Shield Bro then. Yeah, it was March 12th, but I met the robbers on March 13th, and it was also then that I started to think that Lin Yi wasn't a bad person, at least he stood up for me. Meng Yao nodded. Meng Yao and Yushu were reminiscing about the events of the past year, and before they knew it, the sun had already risen. Today was destined to be a sleepless night, and many people had insomnia. Other than Meng Yao and Yushu, Pengzhan also had insomnia, and the Grand Elder and Elder Black-Clothed of the Palace of Darkness also had insomnia. The two of them were discussing how to convince Meng Yao, but after a whole night, they still couldn't come up with any results. After all, the Grand Elder really didn't know how to persuade others, and she thought that Meng Yao would happily go back with her, but this situation caught her off guard. Chapter 3094. However, she was rejected by the Great Elder. After all, Yuana was an expert. She would be heartbroken if she was replaced. In addition, Dongfang Burwa was also suffering from insomnia. Previously, Dongfang Cha had helped him find a female student. He had called to say that he had found one, but she never came back. When Dongfang Burwa called again, Dongfang Cha's phone was turned off. Dongfang Burwa didn't think much of it before. However, Dongfang Cha still did not appear in the middle of the night. Dongfang Burwa called again, but her phone was still turned off. He became anxious and quickly called his father, Dongfang Jingsing. Burwa? It's so late. What's the matter? Dongfang Jingsing practiced at night. As the head of the Dongfang family, he had to deal with a lot of things during the day. He could only practice at night, which was why he was slower than Dongfang Yinqing. Dad. Dongfang Cha disappeared. Dongfang Burwa said anxiously. Dongfang Cha? Disappeared? What do you mean? Dongfang Jingsing didn't understand what Dongfang Burwa meant. Wasn't he with you? Why did he disappear? He went out and never came back. Dongfang Burwa hesitated. He didn't know that his father, Dongfang Jingsing, already knew that he had sent Dongfang Cha to find beautiful women for him, so he stuttered and didn't dare to tell the truth. He found you a female student, right? Dongfang Jingsing said directly. He didn't come back after he went out? Dad, you know. Dongfang Burwa was shocked. Could it be that his father stopped Dongfang Cha from coming back? That couldn't be right. From his father's tone, he didn't know that Dongfang Cha didn't come back, so he quickly said, yes, he called me earlier and said that he found two of the best. He came back immediately, but there was no news after that. He told me about this before, I know, but he had already found two female students, and when he was about to come back, he disappeared? Dongfang Jingsing was shocked, but he was a little confused. What could happen to Dongfang Cha in the secular world?
Yes.
His phone was turned off, and there's no news at all. Dongfang Burwa said. Okay, I got it. Don't sleep. I'll investigate and contact you immediately. Although Dongfang Jingsing felt that Dongfang Cha should be fine, he still stood up and decided to check the surveillance footage from Dongfang Cha's car. When Dongfang Jingsing heard Dongfang Burwa's words, he immediately ended his cultivation. After a simple tidying up, he quickly walked towards the surveillance room of the Dongfang family. The Dongfang family was a relatively modern family. At the very least, they had things that people nowadays could use. They all knew how to use it, and were even more advanced. Moreover, the way they dressed was exactly the same as that of modern people. Dongfang Jingsing quickly walked into the control room, and the disciple in charge of guarding the control room hurriedly greeted him. Young Patriarch. Why are you here? Okay, can you show me the video of Dongfang Cha after she went to East Ocean City? Dongfang Jingxing said to the disciple. Without the authorization of Dongfang Jingxing or Dongfang Badeo, even the disciples who guard the monitoring room can't access the monitoring at will. All right, young master, please authorize your fingerprint. After the disciple pulled up the monitoring footage, he couldn't play it. He needed Dongfang Jingxing or Dongfang Badeo's fingerprint authorization. Dongfang Jingxing nodded, then reached out and swiped on the fingerprint device. With a beep sound, the fingerprint verification was successful, and the computer began to play Dongfang Cha's every move. Before, it was the scene of Dongfang Cha and Dongfang Burua just arriving in East Ocean City. Then, it was the scene of Dongfang Cha driving to the East Ocean Industry University. Then, Dongfang Cha waited for a while downstairs. Dongfang Jingxing fast-forwarded all of this until Dongfang Cha knocked out the two girls. Here comes the main point. It's Elder Dark Knight of the Dark Palace? Dongfang Jingxing saw the person on the screen and was shocked. The Grand Elder of the Dark Palace was respectfully called Elder Dark Knight. It didn't mean that she had this name, but that every generation of Grand Elder would have this name. However, this wasn't all that surprising. What happened next made Dongfang Jingxing's face turn extremely ugly. Elder Dark Knight had actually killed Dongfang Cha. After that, the image was cut off. It seemed like Elder Dark Knight had gotten someone to find the surveillance camera and destroy it. Dark Palace, you and I have no grievances. How dare you kill the elder of my Dongfang family? Do you think the elder of our Dongfang family is easy to bully? Because from the screen, Dongfang Jingxing didn't know that Meng Yao was the inheritor of the Dark Palace. In Dongfang Jingxing's eyes, they were just two beautiful little girls. Wasn't Elder Dark Knight a busybody? We caught our people. What does it have to do with you? Do you think you're a hero who will help others when you see injustice? Dongfang Jingxing was very angry. This was the third person of his family to die in a row. Before it was Dongfang Burua, then Dongfang Jian, and finally Dongfang Cha. These were all first-class masters and they all died like this? No matter how powerful the Dongfang family was, it was enough to lose 3 heaven-class masters in a row. Dongfang Jingxing didn't dare to make a decision. He copied the video into his phone and then quickly walked to the place where Dongfang Badeo practiced. Who? As soon as Dongfang Jingxing walked to the door of Dongfang Badeo's room, he heard Dongfang Yinxing's question inside. After all, who in the Dongfang family would come here in the middle of the night?
So his tone was a little bad.
Come in, it's Jingxing. Dongfang Badeo spoke at this time. He was stronger than Dongfang Yinxing, so he heard the footsteps from Dongfang Jingxing. Yes, father. Dongfang Jingxing pushed the door and walked into the room, then hurriedly said, Dad, second brother, something big happened, Dongfang Cha, also dead. What? Dongfang Badeo suddenly stood up, and his eyes were full of incredible look. Jingxing, what did you say? Dongfang Cha also died? How did she die? Was she killed when she went to investigate the cause of Dongfang Jian's death? Chapter 3095. Dark Knight Palace? Elder Anya? Fuck her. What does it have to do with her that Bu is looking for a woman? Is she in menopause? Dongfang Yinxing was furious after hearing it. This was also a spoiled Dongfang Bu. Dongfang Yinxing had no children and regarded Dongfang Bu and Dongfang Bu as his own. It could be said that in the family, Dongfang Badeo was the first to spoil them, Dongfang Yinxing was the second, and Dongfang Jingxing was the third. However, Dongfang Jingxing sometimes did not dare to discipline Dongfang Bu and Dongfang Bu too much. So, Dongfang Bu went out to show off and was beaten to death. Dongfang Bu went out to look for a woman, and the elder Dongfang Cha was beaten to death. Because of what? Dongfang Badeo frowned. Jingxing, are you telling the truth? You didn't hide anything? Dad, these are all our people. I have nothing to hide. Dongfang Jingxing smiled bitterly and said, I have a video of what happened at that time. Have a look. Dongfang Badeo nodded. Although he was shocked, it was difficult to understand why the Supreme Elder of the Dark Knight Palace would attack Dongfang Cha. There was no reason at all. However, after watching the video, Dongfang Bideo was also inexplicable. How did Dongfang Cha die? It seemed that Elder Anya was standing up for the two girls who were caught. But who were the two girls? Dongfang Bideo did not think that the disciples of the ancient level would go to school in the secular world. There were in the hidden level, but it was basically impossible in the ancient level, so Dongfang Bideo ruled out the possibility that the two girls were disciples of the Dark Knight Palace. But if they were not disciples, were they relatives of Elder Anya? Tomorrow, issue a letter of challenge. We, the Dongfang family, declare war on the Dark Knight Palace. The reason is Dongfang Cha. Dongfang Bideo said coldly, "We dare not find trouble with the everyday and tomorrow sect for the time being, but the Dark Knight Palace, During this time, the Dongfang family members died one after another, which made Dongfang Bideo unable to bear it. This time, he wanted to vent the anger in his heart on the Dark Knight Palace. Dongfang Bu died, but he did not dare to take revenge. Dongfang Jian died, but he did not know how he died. Only the death of Dongfang Cha, the Dongfang family dared to take action. Yes, father. Then, tomorrow morning, what reason should I use to challenge the Palace of Darkness? Dongfang Jinxing asked. Let's just tell the truth. We can't hide this. If the truth is different from what we say, and the Palace of Darkness spreads it, it won't be good for us. We have to tell the truth. Dongfang Bideo pondered for a moment and said, It's just capturing 2 female students in the secular world. It's not a big deal. No one can say anything wrong about our Dongfang family. All right, I understand. Dongfang Jinxing nodded. Indeed, although this matter sounded a bit absurd, which ancient sect didn't have a bit of filth, Dongfang Jinxing knew that there were also ancient sects that supported the merchants of the secular world to smuggle and rob. Many people were well aware of this, so it was really not a big deal to bully people. This night, Dongfang Jinxing didn't sleep. He had been thinking about how to deal with the Palace of Darkness. After all, he would declare war on the Palace of Darkness tomorrow morning. He must have the first step of the plan. Otherwise, he would be laughed at by others. The next day, when the sky was just getting bright, Dongfang Jinxing sent a fax letter to all the ancient sections. This was a letter to declare war on the Palace of Darkness. Because the Dongfang family was a modern family, they used fax instead of pigeons or letters. In fact, other ancient sects also had fax, but these ancient sects were not used to using it. Dongfang Jinxing's declaration of war shocked many of the ancient sections. For so many years, there hadn't been a battle between the ancient sections. But now it actually happened, and it was the powerful Dongfang family against the weak Dark Palace. Of course, after reading the contents of the letter, everyone didn't think that the Dongfang family was bullying the Palace of Darkness. After all, the people of the Dongfang family said very clearly that it was the Grand Elder of the Palace of Darkness who first killed Elder Dongfang Cha of the Dongfang family. The cause was just that Dongfang Cha had captured 2 female students. This caused the ancient sects to immediately lean towards the Dongfang family side, which ancient sect didn't have a bit of filth. In everyone's eyes, what the Dongfang clan had done was really nothing. This supreme elder was simply meddling in other people's business. He deserved to be challenged by others. Didn't you, Elder Dark Knight, enter the mundane world to find an inheritor? Why didn't you find the inheritor, so you went to meddle in other people's business? Are you so bored that your balls hurt? Of course, she didn't have balls. Otherwise, if anyone did something bad in the dark and the other ancient sects interfered, would they still be able to live? So, no one stood up for the Palace of Darkness. Of course, they also knew that the declaration of war would only cause the Palace of Darkness to lose some people and pay some price. The Palace of Darkness couldn't be destroyed, and the Dongfang family wouldn't dare to destroy the Palace of Darkness. However, not long after the news of the Dongfang family declaring war on the Palace of Darkness was released, the pigeons of the palace's black-clothed elders also reached the desks of the various ancient sects. The Dongfang family actually captured the inheritor that the Palace of Darkness was looking for. This news was like an explosion in the ancient sections. This time, no one said anything bad about the Palace of Darkness. They all started to criticize the Dongfang family's elder Dongfang Cha for acting recklessly. She dared to capture the inheritor of the Palace of Darkness. Wasn't that asking for death? Luckily, she was discovered by Elder Dark Knight and killed Dongfang Cha in time to save the inheritor. If the inheritor was really harmed by Dongfang Burua, then the result, if the Five Element sect knew, they would probably destroy the Dongfang family. In the ancient sects, each sect leader more or less knew something about the Five Element sect. And these people were mostly Heaven Class Late Phase Peak or Perfect Late Phase Peak Heaven Class Masters. They all looked forward to the start of the Heaven Class Island project, hoping that one day they could successfully step into the Heavenly Law. And so, these inheritors became the key to the Heavenly Island project. The Dark Palace had just found an inheritor, but he was almost killed by Dongfang Burua of the Dongfang clan. This didn't just affect the Dark Palace's benefits, it affected the benefits of the entire ancient world. Chapter 3096. This was not a joke. He was the inheritor of the Heavenly Stage Island plan. Compared with ascending to the Heavenly Tao, what were those filthy sects? Therefore, everyone felt that Elder Anya had done too much and Dongfang Burua should be killed too. Of course, Dongfang Jinxing, who got the news for the first time, was so angry that he almost vomited blood. The person that Dongfang Cha caught happened to be the inheritor that the Dark Palace was looking for? How could it be so coincidental? However, he also knew that the Dark Knight Palace wouldn't lie to him about this. They would know the truth with just one look. Since it was Dongfang Cha who captured him, it must be the heir of the Dark Knight Palace. This also explained why Elder Dark Knight would kill someone out of anger for no reason. You almost killed the heir of the Dark Knight Palace.
No one could accept that.
I'm so angry. I'm so angry. Dongfang Jinxing felt that he had done an extremely stupid thing. If he had known that things would be like this, he would never have sent a letter of challenge. As a result, the Dongfang family had become the laughingstock in the eyes of all the ancient sections. It was fine that no one supported them, but the key was that everyone was scolding the Dongfang family for being shameless. They had made a mistake, but they were the first to complain, pretending to be wronged, and deceiving everyone's feelings. Dongfang Jinxing knew that the prestige of the Dongfang family had not only plummeted, but even if they wanted to find trouble with the Dark Palace, they couldn't. Because now all the ancient sects did not support the Dongfang family's approach. If there was no previous letter of challenge, then after the Dark Palace issued a statement, Dongfang Jinxing could still jump out and pretend to be wronged to gain sympathy. After all, although they had caught your inheritor, they didn't know. Couldn't they tell us? Did they have to kill people? In this way, there might be people who would support them. After all, who didn't know? Who could be faultless? If it was someone from other ancient sects, would you kill him directly? But now it was useless to say anything. It was just a joke. Taking a deep breath, Dongfang Jinxing quickly walked to Dongfang Badeo's room. This time, he didn't knock on the door and didn't wait for the person inside to speak. Jinxing, has the letter of challenge been sent out? When Dongfang Badeo saw Dongfang Jinxing breaking in, he was a little unhappy. You're also a cultivator. Don't you know that it is not good to disturb others' cultivation? However, Dongfang Badeo thought that Dongfang Xingzhou was too excited to deal with the Dark Palace and didn't say much. Yes, it has been sent out. Dongfang Badeo nodded and said with a grim face, but our Dongfang family has lost a lot of face this time.
Oh?
What do you mean? Dongfang Badeo suddenly froze, and Dongfang Yinxing next to him also opened his eyes and looked at Dongfang Jinxing strangely. My challenge has just been sent out. At this time, the ancient era is still supporting us to take revenge. Everyone knows in their hearts that which sect doesn't have some dirty dealings. So they all thought that Elder Dark Knight of the Dark Knight Palace was being a busybody. But who would have thought that not long after, the Dark Knight Palace also made a statement, saying that our Dongfang family went to capture their inheritor. One of the two female students turned out to be the inheritor of the Dark Knight Palace. This is great. All the ancient era is scolding our Dongfang family to die. It's good that one dies. The whole family should die. Dongfang Jingxing said hatefully. Now, our Dongfang family is in a dilemma. Revenge, that is impossible. If we don't retaliate, it is equivalent to slapping our own face. We have lost our face to the Pacific Ocean. The statement issued by the Dark Knight Palace later, after us? Dongfang Bideo frowned and said, if this is the case, then they did it on purpose? Why didn't they say it before, but after we sent the letter of challenge? Isn't it clear that our Dongfang family is humiliated? Jingxing, as long as you grasp this point, there is still a chance to make a comeback. It has to be said that the older the ginger, the spicier. Dongfang Bideo found a solution at once. Although Dongfang Bideo didn't say that the Dark Knight Palace was lying and did it on purpose, other ancient sects would inevitably think about it. At that time, the pressure on the Dongfang family would be greatly relieved. Dad, if this is the case, what you said is a good idea, but the Dark Knight Palace used a pigeon letter. Now it seems that the statement was sent out after the incident yesterday, but everyone just received it now, and we used a fax. Dongfang Jingxing said weakly. Dongfang Bideo was stunned, and suddenly remembered that their Dongfang family used modern equipment. In the past, he often laughed at other ancient sects for being backward, wearing ancient clothes and using pigeons. Weren't they tired? But today, Dongfang Bideo discovered that although the fax was convenient, but if the Dongfang family didn't have a fax, then this matter would be much easier. After all, using a pigeon letter was not as convenient as a fax. First, a professional beast tamer had to show the pigeon the map, determine the direction, and then set off. In this time, the news of the Dark Knight Palace had already spread. It was really Xiao He who won and Xiao He who lost. Father, this matter can't be done anymore. We don't need to say anything more about this matter. The temporary tolerance is just for revenge in the future. Dongfang Yinxing said at this time, the Dark Knight Palace. We will remember this account first, wait for this period of time to pass, then we will find trouble with the Dark Knight Palace. Now it's impossible. Yes, Yinxing is right, Jingxing, don't be angry, do what you should do, and send another elder to assist Dongfang Buqiu, but things like catching female students, don't do it anymore, settle Su Shihan's matter, then come back.
Dongfang Bideo said.
Yes, father. Dongfang Jingxing took a deep breath, calmed the depressed mood in his heart, nodded and left. Although Dongfang Jingxing's heart was extremely angry, but after returning to his room, he still calmly dialed Dongfang Buqiu's phone and told him what happened. So it's like this. Then Dongfang Cha is dead, on my side. What about Su Shihan's matter? Dongfang Buqiu asked with some worry, but in his heart, he was cursing Dongfang Cha, this bastard, going out to catch people without eyes. How did he provoke the inheritor of the Dark Knight Palace? There were so many beautiful women, but you caught an inheritor. It's really good. Chapter 3097. I'll send another master to help you with Su Shihan. This time, it's Elder Dongfang Song from House Dongfang. Don't make any unreasonable requests. His main task is to help you capture Su Shihan.
Dongfang Jingxing said.
Yes. Dongfang Borua wasn't happy, but he still nodded. He had no choice. He had to listen to Dongfang Jingxing and come back early after this. If there's nothing else, I'll hang up first. Dongfang Jingxing said. After hanging up, Dongfang Borua didn't have any reason to stay in the hotel. He might as well go out and see if there was anything interesting. Since he couldn't capture female students, he could still go to the brothels. But just as he left the hotel, he saw someone that made him excited. It was Su Shihan's manager, Wang Sis. She was staying in this hotel as well. This made Dongfang not weak very excited. It really was a case of wearing out iron shoes in fruitless searching and finding what she was looking for. He thought it would take a while to find out where Su Shihan was, but he didn't think that she would deliver herself to his doorstep. Dongfang Borua didn't hesitate and quietly followed her. Wang Sis, on the other hand, was just a normal person. Naturally, she wouldn't feel that she was being followed by a practitioner. Wang Sis drove to Lin Yi's villa, as usual. Dongfang Burwa saw this scene and didn't force his way in. He memorized the route and returned to the hotel. Meng Yao was right. The two elders were standing in Lin Yi's villa early in the morning, not daring to barge in. They flew into the villa, but didn't dare barge in. Lin Yi, what's the matter with you? Lin Yi asked. We're here. In fact, when Grand Elder and Elder Black-Clothed appeared in the courtyard, Lin Yi already felt it. It was just that Lin Yi didn't go out. After all, Grand Elder and Elder Black-Clothed didn't have any bad intentions. Why would Lin Yi go out so early? After ending his training, Lin Yi opened the window and looked at Grand Elder and Elder Black-Clothed. He said indifferently, Meng Yao hasn't woken up yet. If you wake her up, you'll have to bear the consequences. I'm telling you, she hates it when people disturb her sleep. If she doesn't sleep well, she'll be in a bad mood. If she doesn't go to the Palace of Darkness with you, you'll be crying. The Great Elder was infuriated by Lin Yi's words. Just as he was about to scold him, he was stopped by the black-clothed elder. Grand Elder, please calm down. Don't bother with this guy, we're here for Meng Yao. Let's just wait for a while. The elder in black said quickly. Yes, you're right. I won't lower myself to your level. The Great Elder nodded and ignored Lin Yi. Instead, he stood in the courtyard silently. Just like that, he waited. In actuality, Meng Yao hadn't slept at all. She'd heard the elder's voice as well. She had already gotten up to wash up. Meng Yao and Yushu came downstairs a while later, but they didn't see the Grand Elder in the living room. Wasn't the Grand Elder already here? You guys are awake. Lin Yi walked out of the room, but couldn't help but smile bitterly when he saw the dark circles under Meng Yao and Shu's eyes. Looks like you two didn't sleep at all. Yeah, I couldn't sleep either, so I didn't sleep. Meng Yao sighed and asked curiously, Lin Yi, where's the Grand Elder? Why don't I see her? She's standing at the door. Lin Yi shrugged. Don't mind her. We'll talk after dinner. That's not good, is it? The miss was still kind. Lin Yi smiled. All right then, I'll go cook. You let her in. Okay. Meng Yao nodded and went to open the villa's door. The Grand Elder and Elder Black-Clothed were already standing outside the door. Meng Yao, what's your decision? The Grand Elder was strong. She'd heard the conversation between Lin Yi and Meng Yao loud and clear, so she knew that Meng Yao was awake. She just didn't want to make a scene.
Come in.
The miss, naturally, wouldn't reveal her trump card so easily. She didn't say yes, nor did she say no. All right. As far as the Grand Elder was concerned, letting her in meant that there was progress. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to get the door shut. She quickly went into the living room with the black-clothed elder and sat on the sofa. Meng Yao, I believe you know what it means to be an inheritor, right? Your friends, Xiao Xiao and Tang Yun, are inheritors, right? We've already investigated this, and you can imagine the benefits. The Grand Elder and the black-clothed elder were discussing yesterday, and naturally, they'd investigated Meng Yao's friends as well. She wanted to use them as an example. Tang Yun. Meng Yao's heart skipped a beat. Luckily, Lin Yi had gone to the kitchen to make breakfast. Otherwise, he'd definitely ask who Tang Yun was. But Meng Yao couldn't really say anything. She said calmly, Don't mention my friends. Now, I just want to ask, what can I get from the Palace of Darkness? The Palace Master of the Palace of Darkness. All of the palace's training resources are open to you, the Grand Elder said. Grand Elder, let's talk openly and honestly, Yi Futian said. Meng Yao was very rational. She'd thought about it all night. She looked at the Grand Elder and said slowly, You're hiding something from me, aren't you? What can I hide? The Grand Elder's face changed. Meng Yao, what do you mean? It seems like you don't want me to go to the Palace of Darkness, Grand Elder. Meng Yao shook her head. Then there's no need for us to talk anymore. You're hiding something from me, and you're not telling me. How can I guarantee that you'll keep your promise? What are you trying to say? The Great Elder took a deep breath as if he had thought of something, but he asked with uncertainty. One for one. Meng Yao said, I think I've made myself clear enough. Grand Elder, you should be able to understand. If you agree, then we'll talk about the rest. Otherwise, there's nothing to talk about. You know everything? About your mom? The Grand Elder was now completely certain that Meng Yao knew about Yi Wan-er's situation. Otherwise, she wouldn't have suggested a one-for-one trade. Chapter 3098. That. I need to think about it. The Grand Elder's face wasn't looking too good. This was the condition she didn't want to accept the most, but she didn't expect Meng Yao to be the first to bring it up. It seemed like the black-clothed elder was right. What other conditions do you have? Tell me all of them, and I'll think about them. The other thing is, I want absolute freedom. My friends can come and see me anytime, or I'll come home when I'm free. You can't stop me from calling my friends and family, Meng Yao said. That's right. That's not a problem. The Grand Elder already knew that Meng Yao's personality was completely different from Yi Wan-er's. It was basically impossible to expect Meng Yao to be as docile as Yi Wan-er. So, the Grand Elder didn't even think about it and agreed to Meng Yao's request. She knew that even if she didn't agree, she couldn't do anything if Meng Yao insisted. Don't let me go home? Don't let me see my friends? Fine. I won't train anymore. I won't inherit anymore. What can you do? So, in order to make Meng Yao happy, the Grand Elder agreed without hesitation. As for the first condition, since it involved the Dark Palace's benefits, she had to think about it carefully. She couldn't make a decision right now. That's all. If you agree, I'll go with you, Meng Yao said. If not, then there's nothing I can do. The Grand Elder took a deep breath. She almost nodded in agreement. After all, Meng Yao said that she'd go with her if she agreed. In her heart, she really wanted Meng Yao to leave right now. But her rationality made her say, I'll think about it and give you an answer. All right. Meng Yao nodded. At that moment, Lin Yi had already put the breakfast on the table.
Yao Yao.
Shu Han, time to eat. Lin Yi called, not putting the Grand Elder in his eyes at all. All right. Let's eat then, I'm hungry. The Grand Elder had been thinking about how to get Meng Yao to train with her at the Dark Palace yesterday, so she didn't eat dinner at all. She was a little hungry now. You? I'm sorry, I didn't prepare your share. Lin Yi shrugged and pointed to the food on the table. This is our own. You. The Great Elder's face immediately turned red, but he remembered that he couldn't get angry at this moment. Everything had to be done for the sake of the sect, so he just coldly snorted and said, This old one is a heaven stage expert. They were cultivators. He didn't need to eat. I'm just teasing you. Even if you want me to eat it, I won't. Hey, let's go.
Yes.
Grand Elder. The black-clothed elder quickly replied. Thus, the Grand Elder quickly left with the black-clothed elder, not leaving a single cloud behind. Pho. Chu Meng Yao let out a long sigh of relief as the Grand Elder left. She sat down at the table. It seems like my conditions have troubled the Grand Elder. It doesn't matter. As long as we stick to this bottom line, she will compromise. Lin Yi said as he gave the miss a look. This is also your father's wish. Otherwise, you wouldn't have left, right? Yes, if my mother doesn't come back, I'd rather die than leave. Meng Yao paused, but she still played along with Lin Yi. Not far from the door, the Grand Elder and the black-clothed elder were hiding in the dark. They didn't leave yet. The Grand Elder wanted to eavesdrop on Meng Yao's conversation after they left. He wanted to know what Meng Yao's bottom line was. But when the Grand Elder heard Meng Yao's words, she staggered. She wouldn't leave even if she died? Her face darkened. It seemed like she had no choice but to agree. Let's go. The Grand Elder stopped eavesdropping and quickly left with the black-clothed elder. The Grand Elder was a Sky Class Master. Don't forget that Lin Yi was also a Sky Class Master. Lin Yi also felt that the Grand Elder didn't leave, so he asked Meng Yao. His goal was to let the Grand Elder eavesdrop. Now he achieved his goal. All right, the Grand Elder left. She was eavesdropping just now. Lin Yi said to Meng Yao, Let's eat. So that's how it is. The miss understood. Lin Yi, do you think she'll agree? Theoretically, it shouldn't be a problem, Lin Yi said. With that, everyone started to eat their breakfast in silence. Mingyao's departure was getting closer and closer, and the whole living room was filled with a sad atmosphere. It was an indescribable sadness. Today, Mengyao and Yushu didn't go to school but stayed at home. Perhaps they would leave tonight. Mengyao couldn't bear to leave. She couldn't bear to leave her daddy. Couldn't bear to leave Shu. Couldn't bear to leave General Weiwu. Couldn't bear to leave
Lin Yi.
With Dongfang Cha's death, House Dongfang sent another elder. However, this elder was a sky-class mid-phase. His name was Dongfang Song. When he came, he received orders from Dongfang Jingxing to only cooperate with Dongfang Buqiu to deal with Su Shihan and the people around her. Other than that, he was not to agree to any of Dongfang Buqiu's requests. If he couldn't change his mind, he would call Dongfang Jingxing and let him talk to Dongfang Buqiu. Fortunately, Dongfang Buqiu was well-behaved this time. He knew what his father sent this person for, so he didn't make any unreasonable requests. Of course, Dongfang Buqiu didn't feel guilty at all for Dongfang Cha's death. As far as he was concerned, it was Dongfang Cha who didn't use her eyes and clashed with the Dark Palace's popularity. Who could he blame? Why didn't you find out about the student's background before you capture her? Go up and capture her? Aren't you afraid of death? And so, Dongfang Buqiu didn't feel guilty at all. One had to say, Dongfang Buqiu relied on his identity as the only heir to the head of the house. Otherwise, why would the Dongfang people respect him? Young Master Buqiu, the head of the house asked me to cooperate with you to deal with Su Shihan and the people around her. Dongfang Song told Dongfang Buqiu his goal as soon as he came. He wanted Dongfang Buqiu to know that this was his goal and not to cause any more trouble. Chapter 3099. That's for the best. You're not weak, young master. Dongfang Song nodded. Motherfucker, who do you think you are? Using a chicken feather as a token of authority, like a fox borrowing the tiger's might. Dongfang Burua inwardly despised Dongfang Song. You're still trying to negotiate with me? Wait till I sit in the position of young patriarch. See how I deal with you. However, on the surface, Dongfang Buqiu didn't show it. He was impatient. He followed Su Shihan's manager, Sister Wang, and found her location. However, Dongfang Buqiu didn't act rashly. He knew his own strength. Although he felt that Su Shihan shouldn't have any powerful people around her, he was a person who cherished his life. So, after finding out her location, he returned to the hotel and waited for Dongfang Song. In the blink of an eye, it was evening. The Supreme Elder brought the black-clothed elder back to Lin Yi's villa. This time, Lin Yi directly opened the door and let the Grand Elder in. You're here? Have you thought it through? Mengyao, after some consideration, I can agree to your conditions. The Grand Elder suddenly changed the topic, but your father, Yuan, must always be an honorary elder of the Palace of Darkness and cannot leave the Palace of Darkness. Of course, she can live in the secular world. Mengyao nodded. She knew that the Grand Elder had compromised, and this was the best way. It was impossible for her mother to leave the Palace of Darkness completely. Okay, that's not a problem, as long as my mother comes back. Mengyao nodded. All right, tell me more about the inheritors of the Dark Phoenix bloodline. What am I going to do after I go there? How am I going to do it? Moreover, after I became the inheritor, what are they going to do? I hope that Grand Elder won't hide anything from me. Tell me everything. The Grand Elder hesitated. Mengyao had told him what she had to do and how she had to do it, and that was fine, but it was hard to say what she had to do after becoming an inheritor. It was dangerous, and the Grand Elder was afraid that Mengyao would change her mind if he told her. Grand Elder, since I promised you, he would not go back on his word. I just want to know. Mengyao said with determination. All right, since that's the case, I'll tell you about it. The Grand Elder had no other choice. He could only nod. Go to the Palace of Darkness. In truth, he was cultivating in one of the residences in the Dark Phoenix mountain range. During his cultivation, he would comprehend the metal-type inheritance of the Dark Phoenix mountain range. You should know that the Dark Phoenix bloodline belongs to the metal element. However, the inheritance we obtained is the Dark Phoenix inheritance, not the metal element inheritance. Instead, we awaken the Dark Phoenix bloodline in our bodies to activate the metal element. In this world, there are very few people with the Dark Phoenix bloodline. Usually, their ancestors obtained it by chance and then passed it on through the only method of blood relatives. Therefore, there are very few people who can be used as a reference. Only your mother, you honor. I hope you can have a good chat with her. At least, I haven't discovered any other Dark Phoenix bloodline yet. The Grand Elder thought that she'd find a new inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline, but she didn't expect it to be Meng Yao. She'd seen Meng Yao when she was young, and the Dark Phoenix bloodline was already pitifully low. There was no use at all, so how did it become so pure all of a sudden? Meng Yao nodded. All right, I'll have a good chat with my mother. But, with the purity of the Dark Phoenix bloodline in your body, you'll be able to accept the inheritance. The Grand Elder comforted. But, why is your bloodline so pure? Could it be that something has happened? The Grand Elder seemed to be asking casually, but she was actually trying to find out the reason, to give the Palace of Darkness a way out. If they could find out how to purify the Dark Phoenix bloodline, then the Palace of Darkness' future would be guaranteed. It had to be said that although the Supreme Elder was very sinister, ruthless, and unreasonable, he was loyal and devoted to the sect. He did not have any selfish motives. I swallowed a black phoenix. Meng Yao didn't hide anything. What? You swallowed a dark phoenix? The Grand Elder jumped as she thought of something. Could it be that the dark phoenix from before was bought by you guys? That's right, I bought it. Linny nodded. Could it be that swallowing a dark phoenix can purify the Dark Phoenix bloodline? It's not purified. It means that a person without the Dark Phoenix bloodline will have it after swallowing a dark phoenix. The Grand Elder was a little excited. Meng Yao was the first generation of the Dark Phoenix bloodline, and Meng Yao's children would be able to inherit the Dark Phoenix bloodline and become inheritors. Even if they didn't have the chance to participate in the Sky-class island project, becoming an inheritor would be beneficial as well. They'd be able to smoothly raise their strength to Sky-class late-phase peak, ensuring the overall strength of the Palace of Darkness. Of course, the disappointing thing was that Meng Yao's method of inheriting the Dark Phoenix bloodline wasn't something that could be replicated or referenced. All the disciples of the Palace of Darkness knew that the first inheritor of the Dark Phoenix bloodline was born after swallowing a dark phoenix, but dark phoenixes were very rare, and it took hundreds of years to find one. Meng Yao had swallowed one by chance, and it seemed like she was quite lucky. I see. Meng Yao nodded. No wonder you didn't take me with you before. Meng Yao felt that she was quite lucky. At least she'd lived in the common world for so many years, and she'd even met Lenny. Yes, let's not talk about the past, let's talk about the present. Now that you're in the Palace of Darkness, there's practically no danger when it comes to training. It could even be described as a smooth journey. After all, inheritors who have received the inheritance have no barriers. The Grand Elder said, the only thing you're worried about is what you're going to do and where you're going. To be honest, I'm not too sure about that myself, but it's said that there's a Sky-class island project, allowing all Sky-class late-phase peak to have a chance of breaking through to Heavenly Tao. I heard that there'll be some danger when the Sky-class island project opens, but I'm not sure what it is exactly. Chapter 30, 100. The situation was similar to what the Grand Elder had said. There was some danger, but they didn't know what the danger was. Thinking about it, the Grand Elder and the Ice Palace Shuegu knew about the same, so Meng Yao didn't ask anymore. She nodded and said, if, and I'm saying if, Lin Yi's strength reached that level, would he be able to help me at the last moment? I'm not too sure. The Supreme Elder shook his head and said, but according to the rumors, even us peak late phase heaven rank and great perfection heaven rank experts can't get involved because our physiques aren't suitable. Going would just be throwing away our lives. Meng Yao was silent. What she wanted the most was for Lin Yi to help them at the last moment, but now it seemed that it wouldn't be possible. Even the Grand Elder couldn't interfere, let alone Lin Yi. On the other hand, Lin Yi smiled and didn't say anything. In fact, only Lin Yi knew that others couldn't, but he definitely could. Because Tagan Dragon could do it, he definitely could. Tagan Dragon had 5 elements and 5 elements, and Lin Yi had 7 elements. He had 2 more elements than Tagan Dragon, so Lin Yi wouldn't be a problem at the last moment. However, Lin Yi couldn't say this. This was a secret, and Lin Yi didn't want others to know too early. Tian-chan knew, but Tian-chan wouldn't say it. Lin Yi still trusted her, but he didn't trust the Grand Elder at all. Yao Yao, it's fine. I'll be there to cheer for you when the time comes. Lin Yi smiled and said, Okay, that's good. Meng Yao breathed a sigh of relief. In fact, she was just a little worried. She was relieved that Lin Yi said that. Meng Yao could vaguely guess what was going on. She also knew about Lin Yi's physique. She had also heard about Little 1 and Little 11 going to look for Sun Jingyi to heal Tagan Dragon. Tagan Dragon's physique was similar to Lin Yi's, so since Tagan Dragon was an important member of the future Heaven Island plan, Lin Yi should also be able to go, so there shouldn't be a problem. Of course, the Miss and Lin Yi were on the same side, but she didn't have any sense of belonging to the Palace of Darkness. She would never tell the Grand Elder about this. Since that's the case, when can you come with us? The Grand Elder looked at Meng Yao expectantly. Naturally, she wanted it to be as soon as possible, but she was afraid that Meng Yao wouldn't leave immediately. Today, let's go. Meng Yao took a deep breath and gritted her teeth. She had to leave sooner or later, and there was no point in staying here for a day or 2. The Grand Elder also allowed her to contact Lin Yi and Shu. When Lin Yi and Shu missed her, they could go to the Palace of Darkness to visit her. She could also go to the Palace of Darkness to see her. So, since Meng Yao had decided, she'd leave tonight. Tonight? That's great. The Grand Elder was overjoyed after hearing Meng Yao's words. But, at this moment, there was a loud bang, and the villa's door was kicked open. The Grand Elder was too excited and didn't notice the person outside. So when the door was kicked open, she froze. On the other hand, it was Lin Yi. He had felt someone coming earlier, but Lin Yi didn't know if it was for the Grand Elder or himself. However, the Jade didn't warn him, which meant that there wasn't any actual danger. As expected, when Lin Yi saw their strength, he didn't put them in his eyes at all. An Earth-class late-phase peak and a Sky-class mid-phase, they were nothing in Lin Yi's hands. The Jade warned him based on actual danger, and if it wasn't a threat to him, the Jade wouldn't warn him as his strength increased. This was a bit smart. Dongfang Song. Go, capture them. Naturally, it was Dongfang Burue. He brought Dongfang Song and broke into Lin Yi's villa to capture Su Shihan. As far as he was concerned, everyone in the villa was from the common world, so he didn't put them in his eyes. But when Dongfang Burue, other than Su Shihan, there were 2 super beauties on the sofa, and his eyes lit up. He called out to Dongfang Song, Dongfang Song, we can't let these 2 go. I didn't get to have fun before, but this time I'm going to have fun, especially these 2 girls. I want to have sex 3 times in one night. Yes, young Master Burue Dongfang Song nodded, since they were people related to Su Shihan. Even though Dongfang Jinxing had told him to cooperate with Dongfang Burue to capture Su Shihan, he also said that he could deal with the people around Su Shihan. So, he'd capture them as well. This way, he wouldn't go against Dongfang Jinxing's wishes, and he wouldn't offend Dongfang Burue. Why not? And so, in the next moment, Dongfang Song grabbed towards Meng Yao and Shihan. As for the Grand Elder, Dongfang Song didn't care about it at all. In his eyes, she was just an old granny. Maybe she was the nanny of the villa. He was guarding against Lin Yi and the black-clothed elder. From what he could see, these 2 might be Su Shihan's bodyguards, so Dongfang Song didn't hide his strength at all. His Sky-class mid-phase strength was on full display. What are you guys doing? The Grand Elder saw that Dongfang Song was going to grab Meng Yao, and she was enraged. Dongfang House is here to do something. Those who don't have anything to do with it, scram or die. Dongfang Song humphed coldly and said to the Grand Elder, In his eyes, the Grand Elder was the nanny of the villa, and the ignorant knew no fear. What? The Grand Elder was completely stunned. Fuck, your Dongfang house was indeed stronger than the Dark Palace. That was undeniable. But even if they were stronger, they couldn't bully us over and over again. Earlier, I killed your elder Dongfang Cha, but I've already made a statement, because he captured the inheritor of the Dark Palace, and now you guys sent a Sky-class mid-phase master to capture her. They didn't even put the Dark Palace and the inheritor in their eyes at all. If the inheritor was just from the Dark Palace, then it'd be fine. But this was related to the benefits of so many ancient sects. Your Dongfang house was too arrogant, wasn't it? Were they looking to die? Do you dare touch one of them? The Grand Elder's face was green as he said darkly. Chapter 30, 101. In Dongfang Song's eyes, the Grand Elder was just a mortal, and it didn't matter if he died. You're courting death. The Supreme Elder was about to go berserk. With your strength, you want to kill this old body? I'll send you to hell first. The Grand Elder's finger shook and slapped her waist, and a red silk flew towards Dongfang Song. Dongfang Song's eyes suddenly congealed, full of shock and disbelief. He seemed to understand something in an instant, but it was too late to dodge. Bang! The red silk hit Dongfang Song's body, and his whole body was sent flying. He crashed into the wall of the villa, twitched a few times, and then fell to the ground, dead. Dongfang Burua was dumbfounded. Sky-class late-phase peak? How was this Su Shirhan so strong? How did she have a bodyguard like this? How was he supposed to capture her? A Sky-class late-phase peak wouldn't do anything to him, right? It wouldn't kill him, would it? You're Dongfang Burua from the Dongfang family? The Grand Elder was furious, but she knew that some people could be killed and some couldn't. Dongfang Burua was the main culprit, but he was the only heir of the Dongfang family. If the Grand Elder killed him, then no matter what, the Dongfang family and the Dark Palace wouldn't rest until one of them was dead. So the Grand Elder didn't make a move and only asked, you don't kill me? Dongfang Burua shivered and took 2 steps back. He wanted to run, but he didn't dare. Your Dongfang family keeps trying to capture my inheritor. What's the meaning of this? Do you have some sort of special hobby? The Grand Elder was furious. Seeing that we're both in the ancient level, I'll let you go this time. I'll let you go. Dongfang is not weak, right? Go back and tell Dongfang Jinxing, don't go too far. The inheritor of the Dark Palace is involved in the interests of the entire ancient level, and your Dongfang family is no exception. I hope you don't cause any trouble, or you'll be the enemy of the entire ancient level. This time, Dongfang Burua finally understood what was going on. This old lady wasn't a master hired by Su Shirhan, but someone who went to the villa to find an inheritor. It seemed like that inheritor was one of the 2 girls he wanted Dongfang to capture. Did Dongfang Cha die because of this? Not Weak felt the urge to cry. How unlucky was he? Su Shirhan could have stayed at anyone's house, but it had to be the inheritor's house. He hadn't even seen Meng Yao and Yushu before. Of course, they didn't know that Dongfang Cha had found them. In the end, he came to his door and wanted to capture him. It would be strange if the Great Elder of the Dark Palace wasn't angry. But this was a complete misunderstanding. I'm sorry. I'll leave now. Dongfang Burua cried out in his heart. However, there was nothing he could do. After all, even if he wanted to explain, he had to get the Grand Elder to believe him. Plus, he didn't reveal that he was here to deal with Su Shirhan. He was afraid that Su Shirhan would be alarmed and move away from here, and he wouldn't be able to find her next time. So Dongfang Burua only apologized and didn't even mention anything about Su Shirhan. Bring this corpse along. I don't want to see you again. The Great Elder waved his hand and said, Yes. Dongfang Burua quickly picked up Dongfang Song's body and left the villa. The Great Elder shook his head as he watched Dongfang Burua's departing figure. He sighed to himself. Even though he had spared Dongfang Burua's life, he had now formed a grudge with the Dongfang clan. He wondered if the Dongfang clan would take this lying down. But Killing one didn't matter, killing two didn't matter. He'd killed one, and he'd made enemies. Killing Dongfang Song in front of Meng Yao was also a way to prove to Meng Yao how important she was to the Great Elder, and in the future, Palace of Dark Palace wouldn't mistreat her. However, the Supreme Elder was incomparably astonished. The Dongfang clan didn't seem to be retarded or arrogant. I've already made an announcement, and they know that I'm here to look for an inheritor. Yet Dongfang Burua actually brought another person here to capture the inheritor. What's going on? Lin Yi frowned as well. As far as he could see, the shock and helplessness on Dongfang Burua's face wasn't an act. This kid wasn't that scheming. It seemed like Dongfang Burua's target this time was Su Shihan, and not Meng Yao and Yushu. As for the order to capture Meng Yao and Yushu, it was just a spur-of-the-moment decision, and the Great Elder misunderstood. He thought that House Dongfang was here to capture Meng Yao, and so another person from House Dongfang died. Come to think of it, House Dongfang was quite pitiful, losing quite a few people in a short period of time. The point was, someone else did it for Lin Yi before he could even make a move. This saved Lin Yi quite a bit of effort. At the very least, House Dongfang wouldn't notice him yet, and he could hide behind the scenes to protect Shihan. What if House Dongfang sent out a Sky-class late phase or peak late phase if he was exposed? That wasn't something Lin Yi wanted to see. Lin Yi's current strength wasn't enough to deal with a Sky-class late phase or higher, and so, with the Great Elder taking the blame, Lin Yi was more than happy to be at peace. Meng Yao, you've seen it for yourself. I made House Dongfang my enemy just to protect you, killing their practitioners. You should know how important you are to me now, right? The elder said to Meng Yao. Okay then, let's go. Meng Yao, naturally, knew that today's matter was a misunderstanding because she knew about Shihan's situation, but she didn't say much. After all, her relationship with the Palace of Darkness could only be a cooperative relationship. But I'm the Palace Master now, right? That's right. You are the new Palace Master of Darkness. The Great Elder nodded. Then I need to clarify, who's the Palace Master, or the Great Elder? Meng Yao looked at the Great Elder and asked. Naturally, the Palace Master is the Palace Master. In the Palace of Darkness, the Palace Master is the second most powerful person, other than me. The Great Elder quickly said. Of course, this power was given by the Great Elder, and if she said that Meng Yao had the power, then she had it. The previous Palace Master, wasn't even as powerful as a normal elder, but Meng Yao was going to rewrite history. How could the Miss be bullied so easily? Chapter 30, 102. Oh, if that's the case, hey, you have a disciple named Zhao Qibing, right? Meng Yao turned to the elder and asked faintly. Yes, Palace Master. The elder sweated as he replied. He could tell that Meng Yao wasn't a pushover. Even the Grand Elder didn't dare mess with her. She was completely different from the Yuan from before. So the elder didn't dare to be slow. Oh, I don't like him. From tomorrow onwards, let him clean the toilets in the palace. Meng Yao said. The elder still had high hopes for Qibing, and he'd wanted Qibing to be his inheritor. He didn't want to be sent to clean the toilets just like that. He didn't want to. Hey, you're not willing? The Miss face turned cold. Hey, you don't want to be an elder anymore? If he doesn't want to clean, you clean with him. The Grand Elder panicked. He'd spent so much effort convincing Meng Yao, and now she was going back to the palace. What was she doing here? Did she want to die? Yes. Then let Qibing go clean the toilet. The black-clothed elder jumped in fright and quickly said. Okay. Meng Yao nodded, her face softening. As for Qibing, the Miss didn't like him for a long time, but she didn't bring it up to the Grand Elder. After all, punishing Qibing was a piece of cake for the Miss who'd become the Palace Master of the Dark Palace. There was no need to bring it up. She only had one condition, and the Grand Elder had to agree to it whether he wanted to or not. If there were too many conditions, the Grand Elder would have to agree to one or two of them.
Meng Yao couldn't do anything about the rest.
This was the eldest Mrs. Cleverness. Of course, The mist didn't kick Xiao Qibing out of the Palace of Darkness. This kid was too evil, and Meng Yao wanted to keep him under her eyelids. If he did anything reckless, she'd be able to find out immediately. She'd also be able to deal with him in different ways, so she could vent some of her anger. Then can we leave now? The Grand Elder asked. And Missy nodded her head and looked at the villa reluctantly. With one last look, he smiled at Lin Yi, Shu, and Su Shirhan before turning around and walking out of the mansion. Goodbye, Meng Yao said in her heart. But I'll reach Sky Class late phase peak soon. At that time, I'll be in charge of the Palace of Darkness. At that time, no one will be able to stop me from returning. Yao Yao. Yushu's eyes were red, and she couldn't help but call out. Meng Yao's footsteps paused as she walked out of the villa. He turned around and looked at Shu. Shu, listen to me. I'm leaving, but I can still come back. In the future. Don't mess around anymore. Listen to Lin Yi at home, do you hear me? Oh. Yushu nodded obediently.
Lin Yi.
Goodbye. Take care of Shu for me. I'll leave her to you. Meng Yao wanted to leave, but Shu stopped her. She turned around and looked at Lin Yi. Her heart was filled with reluctance. This was the sadness of being separated from a loved one. At this moment, the Missy finally understood how much she missed Lin Yi and how much she didn't want to leave him. I like him. Yes, I like him. Meng Yao's heart was set in stone at that moment. Most of the time, you only know how important something is after you lose it. So I do like him, don't worry. Lin Yi nodded. Meng Yao gritted her teeth. After understanding her feelings, she didn't want to leave with any regrets. She wanted to tell Lin Yi her feelings, but she couldn't bring herself to say it. At this moment, Meng Yao suddenly felt a little annoyed. Damn Shu, you're so good at normal times, but you always drop the ball at critical times. You can't say, oh, Yao Yao sis Mrs. Shield bro, and doesn't want to leave. At that moment, the Missy would nod shyly and say yes.
But Shu didn't say it.
Meng Yao really wanted to choke her to death. Huh. Lin Yi looked at the Missy, who had a slight change in expression. He didn't know what was wrong with her. Drop the ball at critical times, Shu. Meng Yao glared at Shu and stomped her feet. She turned around and prepared to leave. She couldn't say what was on her mind. The Missy was a shy person. Oh, Shu didn't know what was going on. Why was Yao Yao scolding her when she was about to leave? What was going on? However, Shu wasn't stupid. She knew Meng Yao better than Lin Yi. After all, they had lived together for so many years. Oh, Yao Yao sis, don't worry. I'll guard the door for you. I won't let anyone take away your position as the first wife. Lin Yi looked at Shu and felt strange. She was about to leave. Why was Shu still joking around? However, what surprised Lin Yi even more was yet to come. The Missy blushed and nodded lightly. She let out a soft voice. N? Lin Yi was stunned. Although Meng Yao's voice was soft, he was a Sky Class master. He heard her clearly. After a moment, Lin Yi's heart seemed to be touched by something. It turned out that the eldest miss liked him. This, and represented thousands of words. Lin Yi understood Meng Yao's feelings. Yao Yao. In Lin Yi's heart, it was impossible to say that he didn't like the Missy. They had been together for so long. Everyone had feelings. Moreover, they had experienced so much together. It was just that Lin Yi wasn't sure about the Missy's feelings in the past. Meng Yao smiled shyly and turned around. Before she left, she said softly, Lin Yi, I like you. Meng Yao let go of the stone in her heart. At this moment, she felt much more relaxed. After she finished her sentence, she didn't look at Lin Yi. She quickly disappeared into the night. Me too, Lin Yi said to Meng Yao's back. I'll go and see you. Actually, I had a good impression of you when I first came to Songshan. Lin Yi's affirmation made Meng Yao very happy. However, she didn't stop. She was afraid that if she stopped, she wouldn't be able to walk anymore. When he first came to Songshan, didn't that mean that Lin Yi liked her earlier than Tang Yin? Meng Yao's heart was filled with happiness. It was as sweet as eating honey. Chapter 30, 103. And now she had to leave. Going to the Palace of Dark Nights, it'd be hard to see Lin Yi again. Although she and the Grand Elder had gotten their freedom, Mingyao couldn't go out of the common world all the time. There was a limit to everything, and Mingyao wasn't going to challenge the Grand Elder's mental limit just because of that. She could tell that the Grand Elder of the Palace of Dark Nights was different from the Snow Valley's Grand Elder. Although the Grand Elder had changed, the domineering mentality formed over the years wasn't something that could be changed easily. The Grand Elder didn't stop the words of love between Lin Yi and Meng Yao. Her attitude towards Meng Yao and Yuan was completely different. It couldn't be helped. The two's personalities were different. Of course, the Grand Elder still looked down on Lin Yi. She thought that Lin Yi was only a freelancer, so she didn't say a word to Lin Yi since they came to Meng Yao's place. But Lin Yi didn't mind. As long as the Grand Elder treated Meng Yao well, it was fine. Lin Yi didn't care about anything else. To get along with someone like the Grand Elder, it was either someone like Meng Yao controlling her in certain things or someone stronger than her, like Mr. Yang back then Mr. Yang. Actually, Lin Yi had his suspicions when Peng Zhan mentioned Mr. Yang. Just who was this Mr. Yang? How could he be so powerful that he didn't even put the Grand Elder, a sky-class late-phase peak, in his eyes? Of course, Lin Yi wouldn't link it to his master. After all, Lin Yi didn't know about his master and Lin Dongfang's achievements in the past. Lin Dongfang didn't mention these things to Lin Yi even once. If it weren't for Lin Dongfang's occasional display of dominance, which made Lin Yi feel that Lin Dongfang's strength wasn't normal, he wouldn't have thought of anything else. After all, these things were too foreign to Lin Yi. Oh. Shu is finally a small wife, Yushu said suddenly after Meng Yao left. Lin Yi was stunned by Yushu's words, but he understood what was going on. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. Shu, Yao is gone. Why are you still making a fuss? I'm leaving too, Yushu said weakly. Yushu's words reminded Lin Yi abruptly. Yushu was about to leave, too, in the blink of an eye. The people around him would leave one by one. Perhaps in the near future, they would meet again. Lin Yi was looking forward to the arrival of that day. After returning to the living room of the villa, Lin Yi sat on the sofa in silence. Everything was like a dream. Big Missy suddenly left just like that. There seemed to be something missing in the villa. Before, Dongfang Burua was here to capture me. I didn't think he would drag Yao into this. Shirhan was the first to break the silence.
She felt that it was necessary to tell Lin Yi.
I've thought of that as well. Lin Yi smiled. Su Shirhan paused for a second.
Yeah.
If she thought of it, how could Lin Yi not think of it as well? It was Lin Yi who told her about her identity and the fact that Dongfang House wanted to deal with her. This time, they sent a Sky-class mid-phase master. The person they sent is a Sky-class mid-phase master. Next time, they'll probably send someone even stronger. Won't that drag you down? Shirhan asked worriedly. We can't ask the Grand Elder for help, can we? Although Yao went to the Dark Palace and is the new palace master, she still hasn't gotten a firm foothold yet. I know, but we'll deal with it when it comes. Lin Yi was worried as well. This time it would be best if Dongfang House just let it go. If they sent an even stronger master, Lin Yi really wouldn't be able to handle it. I'm sorry. I caused you trouble, Shirhan said apologetically. Haha, what are you saying? I'm your bodyguard. I'm paid to get rid of misfortune. That's the old saying. Lin Yi smiled nonchalantly, but in his heart, he was thinking that now that he was a Sky-class master, he should find Han Jingjing one day to test it out and see if he could concoct the Qi-gathering pill with her. If he could concoct the Qi-gathering pill, then Lin Yi would be able to break through continuously. However, Han Jingjing seemed to be very busy recently. He told Han Xiaoqiao to tell Han Jingjing to contact him, but Han Jingjing hadn't called yet. It seemed like she was still in isolation. At night, Lin Yi went to his room to train, while Shirhan and Yushu went upstairs to rest. Dongfang Burua carried Dongfang Song's body back to the hotel. However, he did not dare to take the body out. Instead, he placed it in the trunk of his car. After driving the car back to the hotel, the first thing he did was call his father, Dongfang Jinxing. Burwa, how is it? Is it done? From Dongfang Jinxing's perspective, with Dongfang Song, a sky-class mid-phase master, dealing with Shirhan was a piece of cake. Dad, he's dead. Dongfang Song. He's dead. Dongfang Burwa said nervously. Even now, he still hadn't calmed down. It could be seen that he was quite frightened. Dead? Dongfang Jinxing almost threw the phone away. How did Dongfang Song die? How did he die?
Burra, what did you say?
Shirhan's bodyguard was that strong? Even a sky-class mid-phase master like Dongfang Song was killed? Dad, no. It wasn't Shirhan's bodyguard. It was the Grand Elder of the Dark Palace. Dongfang Burwa quickly said. Dark Palace? Grand Elder? What? She went to cause trouble for you again? Dongfang Jinxing was completely infuriated because Dongfang family was in the wrong. Dongfang Cha died. He didn't go to cause trouble for the Dark Palace immediately, but the Dark Palace shouldn't push their luck, right? Were they trying to kill them all or something? They lost another sky-class mid-phase master and you killed him. Dad, it's not that we wanted to cause trouble for her. It's like this. This time, Dongfang Burwa didn't dare hide it. After all, the Grand Elder might make another statement, and if he lied, it would be easy to see through him. So he just told the truth and told Dongfang Jinxing that he didn't know Shirhan. Dongfang Burwa's words made Dongfang Jinxing completely dumbfounded. You guys want to capture someone else's inheritor again? Then you really can't blame the Grand Elder of the Dark Palace. Is there anyone like you guys? Capture her once, and do you want to capture her again? You're lucky we let you go this time. Chapter 30-104. Never mind, it's not your fault. You can only blame the Grand Elder of the Dark Palace. If he had announced his identity earlier, all this wouldn't have happened. The people of Dongfang family were all like that. When something went wrong, they wouldn't blame themselves but blame others. Yeah, Dad. What should I do now? Dongfang Burwa said unwillingly. Are we just going to let Su Shirhan's matter go? Let it go? How is that possible? Dongfang Jinxing didn't dare cause trouble for the Dark Palace, so he could only find trouble for Su Shirhan. This time, I will send a sky-class mid-stage peak master from the Dongfang family to help you. Actually, Dongfang Jinxing didn't want to send such a strong master, but the low-level masters were all dead. Now, the Dongfang family only had 2 sky-class mid-stage peak, 2 sky-class late-stage peak, and 2 sky-class late-stage peak full-perfection masters. Although the Dongfang family was strong, losing so many sky-class masters was a huge blow to them. They went from a top ancient power to a mid-level ancient power. Luckily, the top masters of the family were fine. Otherwise, Dongfang Jinxing would be crying. Okay, thank you, Dad, so much. Dongfang Burwa was overjoyed. He didn't think that Dongfang Jinxing would support him this wholeheartedly. Of course, if Dongfang Jinxing knew that Dongfang Jian was killed by Lin Yi in the beginning, and that Lin Yi was Su Shirhan's bodyguard, he wouldn't send a sky-class mid-stage peak master out. That was suicide. However, Dongfang Jinxing needed to find a place to vent his anger. He couldn't touch the Dark Palace for now, but he could touch Su Shirhan. If some people didn't die, he wouldn't be able to calm his anger. Lin Yi got a call from Fatty Lai not long after he returned to his room to rest. Hello, Fatty Lai, what's up? Lin Yi picked up the phone. Boss, the bank is asking for the debt. Fatty Lai smiled bitterly. Before, the company and House Liu both owed the bank a lot of money. Both the company and the Liu family owe the bank a lot of loans. Now, although the company can operate normally, there is no extra money to repay the loan. Once the loan is repaid, the operation of the company will definitely have a big problem.
Oh?
Lin Yi frowned after listening. He thought that there would be no other problems since the company was running smoothly. He didn't expect to be in debt. Our business is booming now. Can't the bank give us some time? Even if the Liu family was greatly weakened. But the Wu family and the Sun family are both at the top of the secular world. Can't you just say hello? Boss, actually. The bank has been pressuring us for a while now, and I asked someone to extend the deadline. The bank saw that our business was improving, so they stopped pressuring us. But now, they're under a lot of pressure. Fatty Lai said helplessly. If only he could think of something. He would naturally think of a way. Now that he really had no other way, he came to trouble Lin Yi. All right, I got it. I will think of a way. Lin Yi nodded and said. After hanging up the phone, Lin Yi couldn't help but smile bitterly. It turned out to be a company. He wanted to earn some pocket money for himself, but now, he was the one who earned money for the company. But no matter what, Lin Yi had to think of a way. After all, the company was the hope of the orphanage, and while Xiaoka's indifference to Lin Yi, the biggest donor of the orphanage, irritated him quite a bit, but Lin Yi's other identity was that of a male thief. Originally, Lin Yi wanted to wait for Han Jingjing, but now, Lin Yi had to call her. The phone rang for a while before it was connected. Han Jingjing's tired voice came from the other side. Lin Yi, big bro. Yeah, you're resting? Lin Yi heard Han Jingjing's voice, but he wasn't surprised. After all, Han Jingjing was in seclusion to study things. Sometimes, her days and nights would be reversed. It was normal for her to sleep early. No. What's the matter, Lin Yi, big bro? Han Jingjing asked. It's like this. If you're free, come to my villa. I have something to talk to you about. Lin Yi said. Oh, okay. I'll go tomorrow morning. I have something to do here. I'll go after I'm done. Han Jingjing said. Okay. Lin Yi nodded and hung up. Lin Yi planned to let Han Jingjing refine some more pills, and then increase her strength to Earth-class late-phase peak. He wanted to see if he could refine a qi-gathering pill with Han Jingjing. After the call with Han Jingjing, Lin Yi continued to condense the forging fire. Under Lin Yi's hard work, Lin Yi's control of the forging fire was getting better and better. Lin Yi believed that if he continued like this, he would be able to start refining the jade space in half a month. In the middle of the night, Lin Yi was concentrating on condensing the forging fire. Suddenly, he heard footsteps. Lin Yi opened his eyes slightly and looked at the direction of his room. Shu? Lin Yi could tell that it was Shu. Shield bro, I can't sleep. Shu was in her pajamas, yawning. Miss Yao Yao? Lin Yi looked at Shu and was silent. To be honest, he missed Meng Yao. Although Meng Yao had only left for a few hours, the feeling in his heart was different. In the past, even if Lin Yi left for a long time, he would feel at ease knowing that the miss was at home. But now Lin Yi felt like he had lost something. Okay. Shu nodded. I always thought that the one who left would be me, but I didn't expect it to be Yao Yao sis. Life is unpredictable, but maybe it's a good thing. Lin Yi smiled. You and Xiao Xiao are both inheritors now. If Yao Yao isn't, it'll be hard for her to stay with us in the future. So, if you think from this perspective, it's a good thing. Yeah, Shu nodded. Shield bro, it's getting late. I'm going to sleep. Okay. Lin Yi nodded. Looking at Yushu's lonely back, Lin Yi sighed. He could feel Yushu's sadness. A BMW sped from Yanjing to East Ocean City overnight. Although the girl driving the car was very tired, she still drove very fast. At 5 in the morning, the villa's doorbell rang. Lin Yi put away his forging fire and pushed the door open, only to see Han Jingjing standing at the doorway. Han Jingjing, however, looked indescribably haggard, as if she hadn't rested for many days in a row. Chapter 30, 105. Did you stay up late? Lin Yi opened the door of the villa and looked at Han Jingjing, his heart aching. Han Jingjing said that she wanted to make an invention to help him. It seemed like she had been working day and night, otherwise she wouldn't be like this. It's okay. Han Jingjing shook her head. Lin Yi bro, why are you looking for me so urgently? I want you to help me make some pills, and then I'll see if I can go to the Cultivator Trade Association to exchange for some money. As for House Liu and Fatty Lai, the bank is starting to chase them for debts again. I need to help them get some money. Lin Yi explained. Although the Cultivator Trade Association had a rule that they could only barter normally, he believed that with Lin Yi's deterrence last time and the relationship between Lin Yi and Ouyang, It shouldn't be a problem for him to bend the rules and exchange for some money. Okay, then let's start now. After Han Jingjing listened, she agreed readily. Wait, I'm a Sky Class early phase now. I'll raise your strength to Earth Class late phase peak and see if you can successfully make a third level pill, Lin Yi said. Okay. Han Jingjing nodded and entered the villa with Lin Yi. When they arrived at Lin Yi's villa, Han Jingjing sat on the side of the bed and reached out her hand. She was ready to start chanting. Lin Yi didn't hesitate and directly grabbed Han Jingjing's wrist and started chanting the third stage of the art of dragon mastery. The third stage could also help others increase their strength, but the speed of improvement was incomparable to the second stage. When he helped Wu Chentian and the others increase their strength, Lin Yi hadn't practiced the third stage of the art of dragon mastery yet. He still used the second stage to increase his strength, so he didn't waste much time. This time, Lin Yi was shocked to find out that Han Jingjing's strength soared from Earth Class early phase to Earth Class late phase peak in less than 2 hours. The speed of the third stage of the art of dragon mastery was too overpowered. Han Jingjing's strength. It soared all the way to late Earth Class peak before stopping. It seemed that even the third level of the art of dragon mastery couldn't break through the limits of one's own strength. It couldn't bring Han Jingjing to early Sky Class. However, Lin Yi was not surprised. This result was already very good. Big brother Lin Yi is so awesome. Jingjing is so satisfied. Han Jingjing's body was full of strength. He felt much more energized. The tiredness she felt when she entered the room was swept away. Buffed. Lin Yi looked at the blushing Han Jingjing. Her words could easily cause others to misunderstand and have their imaginations run wild. Amazing? Satisfied? He didn't know if Han Jingjing did it on purpose. Or was he trying to tempt her? Shall we start concocting pills now? Lin Yi asked. Do you want to test the third-grade pills first, or do you want to refine the pills for sale first? Han Jingjing asked. Let's try to refine a third-grade medicinal pill first. Lin Yi's pursuit of strength was far greater than his pursuit of money. Without money, he could think of other ways, but without strength, sometimes people would die.
Okay.
Han Jingjing nodded and said, in order not to waste materials, I will now simulate refining a third-grade medicinal pill, but this may not be accurate, because there is no real thing. It will still be a little off. And as long as the simulation is successful, we can actually try it. Lin Yi nodded. Han Jingjing also nodded and began to condense the alchemy fire. In an instant, a ball of alchemy fire leaped out of Han Jingjing's hand, and Han Jingjing's other hand was not idle. She clicked a few times on the tablet computer and began to simulate refining pills according to the time and temperature curve she summarized. And Lin Yi also began to urge the Heavenly Spring Rain Martial technique to cooperate with Han Jingjing. Because in theory, Han Jingjing, who was at the peak of the late stage of Earth Class, was not enough to successfully refine a third-grade medicinal pill. Only the early stage of Heaven Class could have a certain chance of success. If she wanted to increase the success rate, her strength level must also be increased, and the early stage of Heaven Class was the lowest limit. However, even with Lin Yi's help, Han Jingjing's forehead was soon covered with a thin layer of sweat. The physical strength and true qi consumption of a third-grade medicinal pill and a second-grade medicinal pill could not be mentioned in the same breath. As time passed, Lin Yi and Han Jingjing were very nervous, looking forward to the moment of success. But what made Lin Yi nervous was that Han Jingjing's physical strength was quickly exhausted, and Lin Yi also began to show signs of exhaustion. Huff. Lin Yi and Han Jingjing sighed at the same time. Failed at the last crucial moment. Although Lin Yi was an early stage of Heaven Class, the Heavenly Spring Rain Martial technique was not the same as the art of dragon mastery. Although Lin Yi's physical strength and true qi were enough to refine medicinal pills, the conversion rate of Heavenly Spring Rain was not very high, and there was no lack of physical strength and true qi, which was not as good as the art of dragon mastery. So, Han Jingjing finally failed. Moreover, she failed at the last crucial moment. In other words, if Lin Yi's strength was slightly higher, he could have succeeded. It still can't work. The simulation of refining the easiest recover pill has already failed, let alone this more complicated qi-gathering pill. Han Jingjing shook her head. It can't work, Big Brother Lin. It's all because Jingjing's strength level is too low. If only it was a little higher. It's always Big Brother Lin who brings Jingjing to level up, and Jingjing herself is a big idiot. Jingjing, don't say that. You've already done very well. Lin suddenly blushed with shame. If Han Jingjing was an idiot, then there were not many smart people in the cultivation world since ancient times who could invent a scientific method of alchemy. Hey, Big Brother Lin, help Jingjing restore her physical strength and true energy. Jingjing will refine grade 1 and grade 2 pills for you. Han Jingjing said. Lin nodded and began to quickly help Han Jingjing restore her physical strength and true energy, and refining grade 1 and grade 2 pills was much easier for Han Jingjing. Soon, all the materials in Lin Yi's hands were refined. These materials were given by Vice President Ouyang when he went to the Cultivator Trade Association's market last time. However, in theory, these materials could only refine about 10 pills, but in Han Jingjing's hands, it more than doubled, refining a total of 25 pills. This made Lin sigh. Han Jingjing is really a genius girl. Jingjing, Yao Yao left. You still don't know about this matter, right? You were in seclusion at that time, so I didn't disturb you, Lin said.
Oh.
Where did she go? Han Jingjing was slightly surprised and asked. Chapter 30, 106. It's a pity that I couldn't say goodbye to her personally. But don't be sad, Brother Lin. She went to improve her strength. In fact, I also want to improve my strength as soon as possible to help Brother Lin. Han Jingjing said seriously. And, Jingjing, if there's nothing else, you can go back. I won't disturb you. Oh, right. What are you researching? Lin asked curiously. Han Jingjing had been in seclusion for a while, but Lin didn't know what she was researching. It's related to alchemy. I'm sure it can help Brother Lin. You'll know when the time comes. Han Jingjing said mysteriously. Then, she suddenly smiled and blinked her eyes cutely. Actually, it's because I haven't succeeded yet. If I don't succeed, I'm afraid Shield Bro will laugh at me for being an idiot. How can that be? Lin smiled. Then I won't ask. You should go back early. And Han Jingjing nodded. It was getting late.
She had to go back.
Thinking about the things she had to do, Han Jingjing couldn't help but feel a headache. Lin didn't expect Han Jingjing to leave so quickly. She didn't hesitate at all. She left Lin Yi's mansion and returned to her own mansion. Sister, you're back. Han Xiaoqiao was surprised to see Han Jingjing back. After all, he hadn't seen her for a while. And Han Jingjing nodded. I still have things to do. You go first. Han Jingjing said, and didn't pay much attention to Han Xiaoqiao. She went straight upstairs. Lin didn't stay idle either. He brought the elixirs that Han Jingjing had refined and headed to the Cultivator Trade Association. What he wanted to do was to wait until the experts from the Dongfang family arrived. He went to the Cultivator Trade Association to sell the elixirs in his hands and exchange them for some money. When Dongfang Burua came looking for trouble, Lin would go back. However, Lin had underestimated the enthusiasm of the masters from the Dongfang family. He didn't come this morning, but took a plane to East Ocean City last night. There was actually a reason why this expert from the Dongfang family was so proactive. It was because he was the younger brother of the deceased Dongfang Jian, and his name was Dongfang Hard. Dongfang Chong came this time to help Dongfang Burua deal with Su Shirhan, but the first thing he did was not find Dongfang Burua. Instead, he went to the Cultivator Trade Association to investigate the cause of his brother's death. Of course, this was something that Dongfang Jinxing had tacitly agreed to. After all, Dongfang Jinxing also wanted to know how Dongfang Jian had died. Moreover, Dongfang Hao also wanted to go to the Cultivator Trade Association to see if he could buy medicinal ingredients for Dongfang Burua's cultivation. Lin smoothly entered the Cultivator Trade Association's market square. He dialed Vice President Ouyang's number. Mr. Ling. Vice President Ouyang picked up the phone, a little surprised. After Lin Yi killed a master from the Dongfang family, he still dared to call him? Although he withstood the pressure and hid it well, paper can't cover fire. That day, Vice President Ouyang wasn't the only one at the scene. Although the others were all solo cultivators, even if they were solo cultivators, what if the Dongfang family came looking for them? It's me, Vice President Ouyang. I'm at the Cultivator Trade Association's Market Square. Are you there? I have something to talk to you about. Lin Yi said. Yes, I'm in the office. You can come find me directly. Vice President Ouyang said. Lin Yi brought the medicinal pills and came to Vice President Ouyang's office with ease. Vice President Ouyang, how have you been? Mr. Ling, you're here. Vice President Ouyang stood up and smiled at Lin Yi. May I know why Mr. Ling is here this time? Vice President Ouyang, I have some finished medicinal pills in my hands. Can you do me a favor and help me exchange some money? I'm a little short of money recently. As Lin Yi spoke, he put all the medicinal pills he brought on Vice President Ouyang's desk. Vice President Ouyang's face suddenly became a little ugly. Looking at the medicinal pills that Lin Yi put on the table, he didn't know how to explain to Lin Yi. What's wrong? Lin Yi was slightly stunned. Vice President Ouyang, do you have any difficulties? Mr. Ling, to tell you the truth, our Cultivator Trade Association has just sent a notice, and it was personally issued by the great honorary president. We are not allowed to sell medicinal pills privately. All our medicinal pills will be exclusively supplied by the Heavenly Elixir sect in the future. Vice President Ouyang said with some difficulty, although I also have a backer in the Cultivator Trade Association, I can't disobey the great honorary president's words. Heavenly Elixir sect? Lin Yi was suddenly a little puzzled. Don't they refine high-level medicinal pills? They also want to occupy the market for level 1 and level 2 medicinal pills? I'm not sure what's going on. Suddenly, Elder Kong from the Heavenly Elixir sect came to our Cultivator Trade Association to cooperate. They are responsible for providing a large number of level 1 and level 2 medicinal pills to us, and they signed an agreement with the great honorary president to exclusively supply medicinal pills to us. Vice President Ouyang explained, so I hope Mr. Ling can forgive us. Elder Kong. Lin Yi frowned and immediately thought of Kong Mingming. This kid wanted to cut off his source of wealth, but how did he know that he came here to sell medicinal pills? Could it be that he sent someone to investigate? But what was his purpose in doing this? At most, this would cut off his source of wealth, but it would not hurt his foundation. This would at most disgust him. Could it be that it was to disgust him? In this way, Lin Yi could not help but admire Kong Mingming. He actually had such great ability to influence the decision of the Heavenly Elixir sect and let the alchemists of the Heavenly Elixir sect refine so many level 1 and level 2 medicinal pills in large quantities. How much manpower and material resources did it take? Moreover, although these level 1 and level 2 medicinal pills did not seem cheap, compared with level 3 medicinal pills, it was really a world of difference. Lin Yi could not imagine that the entire Heavenly Elixir sect would waste the physical strength and true qi of the alchemists to refine these garbage just to disgust him. Was there something wrong with their heads? Yes, it is Elder Kong. He is a newly promoted elder of the Heavenly Elixir sect. It is said that his words in the Heavenly Elixir sect carry a lot of weight. Vice President Ouyang said, so, Mr. Ling, I hope you will not make things difficult for me. I have no other choice. Chapter 30, 107. Thinking of this, Lin Yi could only say, then there's no other way. Let's cooperate again in the future. Yes, you also know that although our Cultivator Trading Association is not afraid of the Heavenly Elixir sect, we don't want to offend a powerful ancient sect because of such a small matter. This is not in line with our interests, and no matter how strong Mr. Ling is, he is only one person. Unless Mr. Ling can come up with enough background or enough benefits, it will be impossible to make our great honorary president change his mind. Vice President Ouyang said, after all, we are businessmen. Businessmen pursue profits. In addition to background, if the benefits are enough, we don't care about the Heavenly Elixir sect. It's just that the elixirs provided by the Heavenly Elixir Sect, in terms of quality and price, are no weaker than yours, Mr. Ling, so I can't help you. I understand. As for reducing the price, Lin Yi did not think about it. After all, Han Jingjing was very busy now and did not have a lot of time to refine elixirs. If the elixirs were sold at a cheaper price, Lin Yi would not be able to make much profit. This kind of business was not long-term, so Lin Yi was too lazy to let Vice President Ouyang fight for it. He just changed the topic and asked, "Excuse me, how is the matter with the Dongfang family? Have they sent anyone to ask about it?" The Dongfang clan only asked me once through our president. However, I said that it was because a member of their clan had a conflict with someone when they were buying medicinal ingredients, causing the elder of the Dongfang clan to be beaten to death. However, the murderer ran very quickly, so we didn't see what he looked like. Vice President Ouyang said, "Mr. Ling, at present, it is only the president who is pressuring me. I can still help you cover it up. But if it is the great honorary president who asks about it, I can't do anything." I understand. Lin Yi nodded. In this case, thank you, Vice President Ouyang. Wow, it turns out that you are in cahoots with each other. My brother died so miserably. While Lin Yi and Vice President Ouyang were talking, Dongfang Hao rushed in. He was here to investigate the cause of Dongfang Jian's death. Of course, he was also a cautious person. He didn't ask anyone he met. Instead, he used his divine sense and mental strength to sense what the other people in the Cultivator Trade Association market were talking about. When he suddenly heard Vice President Ouyang and Lin Yi's conversation, he was instantly enraged and rushed over, with a ferocious expression. The other party was an expert at the peak of the middle stage of heaven rank. Lin Yi's strength was lower than his, so it was difficult for him to sense his existence. Only when he revealed his strength did he realize that something was wrong.
Boom.
A loud sound rang out. Vice President Ouyang's office door was kicked open. Dongfang Hao appeared in front of them. "Who are you?" Vice President Ouyang frowned. He had naturally heard what Dongfang Chong had said earlier, and he could vaguely guess what was going on. He just didn't dare to confirm it. "Who am I?" "I am the brother of the deceased Dongfang Jian, Dongfang Jiang. So it was you two who colluded with each other to kill my brother. Today, all of you must die." Dongfang Chong sneered and started chanting. A pair of pitchforks appeared in his hands. Obviously, it was his heaven-rank divine weapon. Lin Yi immediately frowned. He could indeed kill an expert at the peak of the middle stage of heaven rank, but that was based on a sneak attack when the opponent wasn't paying attention. Now, the expert in front of him was going all out and even took out a heaven-rank divine weapon. This made Lin Yi nervous. If he said that he was confident, he would be bragging. Therefore, Lin Yi shouted, "Vice President Ouyang, let's attack together. Otherwise, both of us will die today." Vice President Ouyang's expression suddenly changed. He could see that the person in front of him was very fierce. Dongfang Chong might have heard what he said before. Although he didn't kill Dongfang Jian, Dongfang Chong obviously didn't care. He regarded him as an accomplice of Lin Yi and was prepared to kill him together. After hesitating for a moment, Vice President Ouyang also knew that today's matter wouldn't end peacefully. Hence, he didn't stay any longer. He stretched his hand out from under his desk and a huge saber appeared in his hands. This was his heaven-ranked divine weapon. The huge saber glowed with a dark blue light and was clearly a top-grade divine weapon. Vice President Ouyang's cultivation technique was of the water element, and he had an elder of the second honorable president with him. Hence, the weapon in his hands definitely wouldn't be inferior. Just as Vice President Ouyang took out the blue blade, Dongfang Chong had already moved. His hands slightly shook and suddenly, a woo-woo sound came from the pitchfork. It was as if it came from the depths of hell. A terrifying killing intent leaped out. That terrifying killing intent seemed to have materialized along with the sound as it was transmitted towards Lin Yi and Vice President Ouyang. Not good. Don't listen. Lin Yi's jade pendant suddenly transmitted a strong warning signal. Lin Yi knew that there was a problem with the sound and shouted at Vice President Ouyang. When Vice President Ouyang heard the sound, he was slightly stunned. His eyes had already become sluggish. At this moment, when he was shouted at by Lin Yi, he immediately sobered up and cold sweat appeared on his forehead. The sound of the pitchfork was like a demonic sound. It instantly confused Vice President Ouyang's mind. This was a method that could affect the mind of others. If it wasn't for Lin Yi's reminder, he might have already become a ghost under Dongfang Chang's pitchfork. Although this matter was caused by Lin Yi and Dongfang Jian was killed by Lin Yi, Vice President Ouyang was still very grateful to Lin Yi. After all, Dongfang Chang didn't care so much. In his eyes, Vice President Ouyang was also a participant and would die without a doubt. A puny heaven rank early stage was actually able to see through my demonic sound. Not bad. However, with the strength of the two of you, it is impossible for you to join hands and kill my big brother. Tell me, who else is your accomplice? I can give you a quick death and save you from being tortured. Dongfang Chang coldly snorted and arrogantly asked. If you want to know, then you'll have to beat us first. Lin Yi didn't give Dongfang Chang a chance to speak. The Fushi 9 needles in his hand shot towards Dongfang Chang. Dongfang Chang's face suddenly became very ugly. He didn't think that Lin Yi would dare to take the initiative and ruin his plan. Chapter 30, 108. But because of this, Dongfang hard lost his patience. He raised his pitchfork and leaped towards Lin Yi. He could see that although Lin Yi was a heaven-rank early-stage expert, he was stronger than Vice President Ouyang and was able to see through his plans several times. Therefore, he decided to get rid of Lin Yi first before getting the truth out of Vice President Ouyang's mouth. Brat, you're courting death. Dongfang hard waved his pitchfork and blocked Lin Yi's Fushi 9 needles. With Lin Yi's heaven-rank early-stage strength, he had no advantage against Dongfang hard, who was at the peak of heaven-rank mid-stage. On the other hand, Vice President Ouyang's blue saber was extremely fierce. After Lin Yi made his move, Vice President Ouyang also made his move. The blue saber and the pitchfork collided, creating a thunderous sound. Dongfang hard was actually pushed back a step, but Vice President Ouyang was in a much more miserable state. He was pushed back 4 or 5 steps and almost fell to the ground. Lin Yi did not delay. Taking advantage of the fact that Dongfang hard had yet to recover, he suddenly activated the 9th style of Raging Fire 8 trigrams palm and smashed it towards Dongfang hard. However, Dongfang hard was already on guard against Lin Yi. Seeing Lin Yi's martial skill coming towards him, he subconsciously dodged to the side. Although he didn't think that a heaven-rank early-stage expert like Lin Yi would be able to cause much damage to him, he didn't want to be injured. What he didn't expect was that he actually dodged correctly. When he saw Lin Yi's martial skill, he was a little dumbfounded. This was equivalent to the 15th style of heaven-rank martial skill. If this hit his body, he would either die or be seriously injured. But how could Lin Yi use such a powerful martial skill? Until now, Dongfang hard finally understood. His brother was really killed by Lin Yi. There was no need for anyone else to do anything. He had probably already fallen into Lin Yi's trap. Even so, half of Dongfang hard's body was still burning with pain after being swept by Lin Yi's Raging Fire 8 trigram palm. His meridians had also suffered heavy internal injuries, causing Dongfang hard to be extremely angry. Demonic tuning fork.
Kid, die.
At the same time Dongfang Hao shouted, the 2 steel forks in his hands once again emitted a woo-woo-woo sound, causing Lin Yi's mind to be distracted. It was as if his entire body was in a strange illusion. However, Lin Yi was already on guard against Dongfang Hao's tuning forks. At the same time the tuning fork sounded, Lin Yi also roared loudly. Dark Demon Hell Fist. Lin Yi's voice was very loud, using his voice to cover up the sound of the tuning fork. Since you want to play dirty tricks with me, I'll give it to you. I'll accompany you then. Lin Yi thought. Dongfang Hao was using the demonic tuning fork with all his might. He didn't dare to fight Lin Yi head-on now. That move just now had already made him a little afraid. So he was prepared to let Lin Yi lose his mind before making a move, but he didn't expect that. Lin Yi shouted loudly. He didn't know what he was calling for, but not only did Lin Yi not lose his mind, he even threw a punch. Dong Feng Hao was using the demonic tuning fork with all his might. It was too late to dodge. Fortunately, he saw that the power of Lin Yi's punch was not as strong as before. He was confident that he could take it head-on, so he didn't mind. At this moment, Lin Yi was gritting his teeth. This was the last fight. The Raging Fire 8 Trigram Palm's 9th form had almost drained all of Lin Yi's physical strength, but it didn't do anything to Dong Feng Hao. So, Lin Yi could only use another ultimate move that he learned from Zhang Naipeo. But what surprised Lin Yi was that Dong Feng Hao didn't dodge. Instead, he wanted to take it head-on. This time, Dong Feng Hao was 100% sure. A beam of red light shot out from Lin Yi's fist, directly entering Dong Feng Jiao's mind. In the next moment, Dong Feng Jiao didn't even have time to react before he felt an endless sea of fire surging towards him. He could even feel the waves of heat, and he subconsciously let out a scream, his eyes filled with shock. Vice Chairman Ouyang, kill him. After activating the Raging Hell Fist, Lin Yi sat on the ground with a thud. He had used up all the strength in his body, and he couldn't use any more moves. He couldn't even stand up. Vice Chairman Ouyang paused. Although he didn't understand what was going on with Dong Feng Hao, he still followed Lin Yi's instructions and slashed at Dong Feng Hao's head. But Vice Chairman Ouyang was a step too slow and missed the best opportunity. Dong Feng Hao had already woken up from the sea of hellfire and returned to reality. He often used these demonic realms and illusions to trick people, and now that he had been tricked by Lin Yi, he was able to quickly wake up, but his heart was filled with shock. He finally knew that his big brother's death wasn't undeserved. Even he himself was almost done for. Swoosh! The sharp blue sword slashed down from the right side of Dong Feng Hao's head, directly slicing off half of his eye and the entire ear, as well as the side of his skull. You're from the everyday and everyday sect. Dong Feng Hao glared at Lin Yi with hatred. He didn't want to fight anymore and flew out of Ouyang's office, disappearing in a flash. Although Dong Feng Hao was seriously injured, one of his eyeballs was destroyed, and his head was also severely injured. It wasn't enough to kill a peak heaven rank middle stage expert. However, he couldn't continue fighting, and he was already afraid of Lin Yi. If Lin Yi used another demonic hell fist, as long as he was distracted for a moment, he would definitely die. And so, Dong Feng Hao ran away. Revenge, of course, but that was against the everyday and everyday sect. He didn't care about this person in front of him anymore. The monk could run, but the temple couldn't. Most importantly, the Dong Feng house and the everyday sect had a deep grudge against each other. Dong Feng Jian could be said to be nothing, but Dong Feng Bulu was the most outstanding member of the younger generation of the Dong Feng house, and now that he had died in the hands of the everyday sect, would the Dong Feng house just let it go? When Dong Feng Hao heard Lin Yi say demonic hell fist, he didn't suspect anything at all. It wasn't a secret that Dong Feng Bulu had died to Naipeo's demonic hell fist, and Dong Feng Hao was also a practitioner of a similar art. He had studied the demonic hell fist before, and it was very similar to what he had experienced just now. This was also why he was certain that Lin Yi was from the everyday sect. Chapter 30, 109. He wanted the Dongfeng family to blame Dongfeng Jian's death on the everyday sect. Mr. Ling, this Dongfeng Hao is not a simple person. His methods are incredible. Even with our combined efforts, we still couldn't catch him. If he managed to escape, I'm afraid that our plan has already been exposed. Vice President Ouyang said worriedly. I'm fine. He thinks I'm from the everyday sect, but I'm worried about you. Lin Yi said. Hee, Mr. Ling, you don't have to worry about me. He's only here once. When he gets back, he'll understand that I was merely pressured by the everyday sect and didn't tell the truth. The Dongfeng family won't dare to clash with our Cultivator Trade Association. It's not like I don't have a backer. Vice President Ouyang said nonchalantly. That's good. Lin nodded. Then I'll take my leave first. I need to go back and prepare. Okay, Mr. Ling, you be careful too. Vice President Ouyang and Lin Yi had established a friendship during the battle. The two of them were now on the same side. Vice President Ouyang was afraid of Lin Yi at first, but now it was more like a concern between friends. Thank you. Lin Yi nodded gratefully. He felt that Vice President Ouyang was a good person. If there was a chance in the future, he could cooperate with him. Without saying much, Lin Yi left Vice President Ouyang's office and prepared to return to the villa. The arrival of Dongfeng Chong made Lin Yi feel a sense of crisis. If the other party didn't use a heaven-grade weapon, then Lin Yi's chances of winning were very high. However, once the other party used a heaven-grade weapon, Lin Yi's advantage would be gone. Lin Yi swore to become a blacksmith as soon as possible. He believed that only by successfully refining a weapon that matched the art of dragon mastery could he regain his previous advantage. However, the fact that the Heavenly Elixir sect had cut off Lin Yi's source of income from elixirs made Lin Yi very unhappy. Kong Mingming was really a haunting ghost. He could jump out at any time to mess things up. Thinking of this, Lin Yi directly called Kong Mingming. Oh, wasn't that Lin Yi? Why did you call me? Kong Mingming pretended to be curious. In fact, he knew very well that once Lin Yi knew that the Cultivator Trade Association would no longer purchase his pills, he would definitely call to question him. Kong Mingming, are you so bored that your balls hurt? If you have time, why don't you refine a qi-gathering pill for me? It seems like you're very energetic to refine a level 1 or a level 2 pill. Lin Yi asked coldly. When are you going to give me my qi-gathering pill? You're talking about the Cultivator Trade Association. I didn't refine it. It's the Heavenly Elixir sect's business changes. I'm just the spokesperson. Kong Mingming said, I did this to nurture a batch of alchemists. The purpose of doing this was to nurture a batch of alchemists. They couldn't possibly throw away the first and second grade dawn that they refined, right? We found the Cultivator Trade Association to cooperate with. Because the supply price is relatively low, we want to be the exclusive supplier. You can't blame me for this. This is how the market is. Just like when our Miracle Dr. Kong company went bankrupt because of your Miracle Dr. Guan company, we couldn't do anything about it. We couldn't do anything about it either. Is that so? Lin Yi was speechless at Kong Mingming's words. It was clearly a sophistry, but Lin Yi couldn't do anything to Kong Mingming because of this. After all, this was a normal competition.
Lin Yi.
If he wanted to turn this round, he could only use a similar method. At least, Lin Yi couldn't go against the Heavenly Elixir sect openly. After all, the young master of the Heavenly Elixir sect had helped him once. Lin Yi couldn't be ungrateful, right? Even Lin Yi was puzzled. What was the relationship between him and the young master of the Heavenly Elixir sect? Why would the young master suddenly help him? But no matter what, Lin Yi could only find other ways to earn money. The path of selling pills wouldn't work. Lin Yi returned home with the pills. Su Shirhan was practicing singing in the living room. Yushu was sitting on the sofa in a daze. She didn't have the usual joy. Shu, what are you doing? Lin Yi walked into the living room and asked curiously. Oh, Shield Bro, you are back. I was worried. Yao Yao Sis went to the Dark Palace. I don't know how she is. She didn't call home. Yushu sighed and said unhappily.
She should be fine.
She didn't call. Maybe she hasn't finished the handover. Let's wait. Lin Yi comforted. In fact, Lin Yi was also worried. Okay. Yushu nodded. Shirhan and I are recording a song for Yao Yao Sis. Shirhan sang a record for Yao Yao Sis. We're going to send it to Yao Yao Sis. Okay, you guys continue. I'm going back to practice. Lin Yi's strength had just recovered. He still had to think of a countermeasure. Dongfeng Hao alone had already caught him off guard. If a few stronger masters from the Dongfeng family appeared, Lin Yi really wouldn't know what to do. Just as Lin Yi guessed, Meng Yao had arrived at the Dark Palace today. But she had a lot of things to do. When the Grand Elder asked when Meng Yao was going to hold the ceremony, the mist didn't answer his question. Where's my mom? Ugh. The Grand Elder didn't expect Meng Yao to ask this as soon as she arrived at the Dark Palace. He answered, Palace Master One is currently in the courtyard at the back of the mountain. That's where you will be staying from now on. Then why don't you bring me there? If I'm not happy, I'll just go back.
Meng Yao said.
Please. The Grand Elder had no choice but to bring Meng Yao to see Yuan first. As for the way back, she had already arranged to receive the inheritor. Chapter 30, 110. Where's that bitch Yuan? The Grand Elder was getting annoyed. She grabbed a disciple on duty and barked. She wanted Meng Yao to see Yuan as soon as possible and go to the welcoming ceremony. But now, the more anxious she was, the more she didn't see Yuan. Naturally, she was annoyed. Elder Yi went to the welcoming ceremony. She's not here? The disciple said quickly. Oh. The Grand Elder nodded and was about to tell Meng Yao that her mother had gone to the ceremony, so she should go too. She'd be able to see her when she saw Meng Yao's murderous gaze. She jumped up. Miss, what's wrong with you now? The Grand Elder was getting a little scared on the way, but for the future of the Dark Palace, she had to endure it. This inheritor didn't listen to her, so she could only pacify her. Who are you calling a bitch? You old bitch. Meng Yao glared at the Grand Elder. Ugh. What I meant was, why isn't Yuan coming out to see people? She's seeing people, not bitch. The Grand Elder quickly explained. Humph. Meng Yao humphed coldly. Lead the way.
All right.
The Grand Elder wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. Thank goodness Meng Yao didn't hold it against him. Otherwise, there'd be no end to this. Yuan's emotions were very complicated and perturbed. She didn't know that the new palace master was her daughter, Meng Yao. She was still worried about Meng Yao, because the Grand Elder said that she was going to kill Meng Yao before she left, and she didn't say who the inheritor was. How could she not be worried? Miss Wunner, don't worry. The little miss is blessed by the heavens.
She'll be fine.
Maybe the Grand Elder found an inheritor, and he'll be so happy that he'll let the little miss go. Elderly said. Really? Wunner sighed. Although Elderly said so, she was still very worried. She knew the highest elder's temper. He would do what he said, but just as Yuan was worried, there was a burst of cheers. It was the new palace master, the heir of the Dark Palace. Everyone followed their rehearsal and clapped. The Dark Palace welcomes the new palace master. One heir stiffly raised her head. However, when she saw the face of the palace master of trust, she was completely dumbfounded. Wasn't this Meng Yao? Although Wunner had never met Chu Meng Yao before, the black-clothed elder still remembered her. When she was in charge of the Dark Shadow Group, she'd brought back a picture of Meng Yao. She looked exactly like Meng Yao when she was young. She didn't expect Meng Yao to come to the Palace of Darkness and become the new palace master. So, Yao didn't die. She didn't get killed by the highest elder. She was the heir, the new palace master of darkness. But, while Wunner was happy for Meng Yao, she was also worried. It was good that Meng Yao wasn't dead, but entering the Palace of Darkness wasn't a good thing. Without freedom, although she was the palace master, she was restricted by the highest elder. She wasn't even as powerful as a normal elder, but, overall, Wunner was still a little happy. Meng Yao followed the highest elder up the stage, but she didn't make any speech or anything. She only looked at the highest elder and asked, "Where's my mom?" Palace Master Yao, let's proceed with the inauguration ceremony first. After the ceremony is over, you'll have plenty of time to reunite with your mother. Look, there are so many elders waiting down there. The highest elder quickly said. I'm asking you, where's my mom? Meng Yao's voice was cold. Am I the palace master, or are they the palace masters? The palace master asked the elders to wait a little longer. Is there a problem? Of course there's no problem. In this palace of darkness, other than me, you're the most powerful. The highest elder quickly said, Wunner, what are you waiting for? Get on the stage. Can't you be a little nicer? Meng Yao humphed, dissatisfied. My little miss, my attitude is good enough. The highest elder was speechless, but she was the most powerful person in the Palace of Darkness. No matter what she said, the elders wouldn't dare say anything. If Meng Yao wanted to do it first, then so be it. Below the stage, Yuaner widened her eyes in shock. Her face was filled with disbelief. Meng Yao dared to go against the highest elder? And to talk to the highest elder in that tone? The most amazing thing was that the highest elder wasn't angry at all. He even called Meng Yao Little Miss. What was going on? The eyes of Elderly, who was beside Yuaner, also flashed with a strange light and hope. It seemed that Little Miss' personality was completely different from Miss. It seemed like she had the highest elder in the palm of her hand. The other elders all understood one thing. The previous head of the Dark Palace was just a decoration, but from today onwards, the new head would be the second most powerful person after the Grand Elder. If Meng Yao wanted to kill someone, they had no doubt that the Grand Elder would agree with her. Let my mom look for me on the stage. Do you have any sense of seniority? I should be the one going down to look for my mom. With that, Meng Yao got off the stage and walked towards Yuaner. Meng Yao saw Yuaner as well. Her eyes were shining with tears of excitement. Meng Yao hadn't seen her mother since she was young, but the moment she saw Yuaner, she was sure that this was her mother, because her appearance was very, very similar to his. Mom. Meng Yao couldn't help but run over and jump into Yuaner's arms. She couldn't stop the tears from flowing down her cheeks. Meng Yao had dreamed of reuniting with her mother for so many years, but she didn't think that they'd be separated after reuniting. Yuaner was about to leave, and Meng Yao was going to stay. Yao Yao. My daughter, I finally get to see you.